So hello everybody, how are we all? So the show is called Penny Teaches Newbie, how to make models. We'd better have a newbie.
Hello.
How are you all?
I'm all right. Fireworks going off, so excuse it.
What's the occasion for fireworks?
Don't know.
Must be New Year somewhere. So I've had to do a bit of a catch up today because I'm, as you can see from the background, I'm in a hotel. So I've been spending today building up the a second tank. So I'm all caught up to where you are, which is great. So Lord Peter Webster's the first one in. Hi, Penny Tash. And then we have Dominique. Hi, Penny and Nat. I take it that's hi, Penny and Natasha. Is that Dutch? Have you treated us to Dutch?
Hi, Dom.
So we have got a little bit of building to do today.
Yes, I don't think we're that far off from finishing.
No, we've only got 3 stages to go. So if I can find my instruction manual, we have got. Tell you what, that's a nice close up of your t-shirt.
I just looked that window, it's doing my nutting.
Right. So the 3 stages we have got left is we're going to do a bit more of the turret.
Is it that?
And then we've got, and then we've got a big piece, a small piece, and a tiny piece. That might go to the carpet monsters.
Oh, yeah.
And then we put the turret on. So there's only really 2 stages left.
Well, if mine goes on the carpet again, you know what? Mine's been in battle. Literally, mine's gone into battle.
It's one of those things that happens.
Yeah.
Everybody has lost pieces to the carpet monsters. There are monsters in your carpet that only eat pieces of plastic. They don't eat anything else.
No.
So Choberton says, hey, Penny. Hey, Peter. Hey, Dominique. And then here we come. All hellos. Lord Peter says, hi, Dom. So we nearly didn't have a stream today, did we?
No.
We couldn't load this up.
No. Nope.
I can't get a focus. Why am I not getting a focus? I know why. I'm trying out a different camera and I think it isn't an autofocus.
Yes.
Whereas,
everyone. Zoom.
Yeah. Oh no, we're not using a zoom camera today.
I can see it better when it's down there.
Yeah. So everyone's saying hello to everybody. We've got Choberton. Hi, Dominique. Hi, Dom. Hi, Tony. Hi, Choberton Junction at Lord Peter Webster. Right. So shall we finish some gluing and building and scratching and carpet monster eating?
Yeah, why not? I'll have to turn this round, so bear with me.
You will have to, I'm afraid.
Oh, yeah, great. This is going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, we have a success on the turret, I believe, don't we, Natasha?
Oh, hell yeah. I worked well on that. Well, I don't know where I am.
Okay.
That'll do, won't it?
Yeah, that looks fine.
Somewhere like that.
Fine. I'm just a bit embarrassed about my my lack of camera focus, but So come on, show us your gun turret.
I'll try. I'll have to find a camera.
Give us a wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle.
I think we'll all agree this is the glue she used. It's very easy to glue it all up together. And of course, it put me under pressure because Natasha said, oh, I've done mine and it moves. And I thought, well done using that and it moves. Well, of course, now, because I've said that you can be a bit more precise with this liquid glue with a brush, now I've got to make sure I do mine so it moves. Mine does move. Right, so stage 10. We have two pieces to cut off, which is a B2 and B6. And what's the deal of the day cutting these off? What do we do when we cut the pieces off? I'm trying to drill these frequently used words into your head.
Is it get rid of them little tags?
Right, which is what we call clean up, isn't it?
Yep.
So we clean up the pieces. We take a couple of minutes and we can either cut them off with a knife, as I'm doing here. We could scrape them with a knife, as I'm doing here. And or we can file the pieces off, as I'm doing here. Choice is yours. You can use any method you like to remove these pieces, clean these pieces up.
Yep.
And it's probably, as I'm finding out here, probably not a good idea to be cutting green pieces off onto a green cutting mat.
I got B2. What was the other one?
B2 was this big sort of keyhole-y type thing.
Yep.
And then the other one was B6, which is a cover that's going to go over the turret.
Right, okay.
And we have a Facebook user. I'm sorry, that's all I know. I want to make one. You are more than welcome.
Could be Rachel. I'm not sure. She has got one here.
This is the Sherman Firefly 172 starter set. It comes with all the paints and the glue and the brushes. Brush, not brushes, brush. And unfortunately, it's a little bit too late to get them from Aldi for a mere £3.50. But I think they're about 10 quid to 10, 11 quid to buy.
Yeah, Rachel's got one here. She bought it off Amazon, but it didn't come with the paints or anything.
Did it? Oh, that would just be the normal thingy-bobby. They've actually done a bit of releases with this anyway. They brought this out in quick build now.
Right.
Or they're bringing it out. It's the new Airfix releases that they've announced this week. Right, I'm just trying to think of the best way to do this. You may actually have a little bit of a struggle. I'm trying to think of a way around it. Right, okay, give up. That's a good way around it, isn't it?
No, don't ever give up.
No, I don't mean give up. But... Right, this is interesting. That is interesting. How's that supposed to go on without gluing? Really?
Do you pop it in or what?
Oh, I see. No, this is a bit of a stupid part.
Is it like that?
Yes. Is yours kind of snapping in okay?
Yeah, but it pops out.
Right, okay, no, that's fine. Because I was sort of fitting mine together. Oh, it is Rachel on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you can give me idea what to get and where for my first time, I'll be grateful. Probably have a look on Amazon or nip down to your local model store if one does exist where you live, because they are hard to come by now. But or if you don't mind paying a bit of postage, have a look at a Facebook group called Model Kits for Less. It's run by a chappie called Mike Jolly. All of his kits are slightly discounted. Right. So obviously I'm thinking from the point of view I'm using liquid glue. So what I would be doing with my liquid glue, I would probably glue this side and then get that held in and then apply glue there. You don't want to push that in too far. Maybe just remember the old bit of glue onto the cardboard and then use a cocktail stick or something as a glue applicator. And then just go all around.
Yeah.
Just along the edges on the inside edge where this is going to make contact, and then pop it in.
I'll do my best.
But just as you dry fit, just make a note of where the points of contact are.
Yeah.
Because I'm using liquid glue, I'm actually going to glue it in stages. So what I'm going to do is run some glue along there. And then I can pop that into there like so. Come on, fit you bugger. It's quite an exact fit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once it's in, it's lovely. See, look, now I fitted that back piece. The rest of it's gone in quite easily, but now you wouldn't be able to access that with your poly cement. But if I use the liquid glue, I think I'm accidentally trying to sell you this liquid glue, aren't I?
Yeah.
I would say the vast majority of modelers who use this liquid glue do think it's far superior. But that's not to say there isn't a place. Like I said on the last stream, a lot of people might go, oh, this is crap. No, it's not crap. It does the job. It's just that this is better. Sometimes people get confused between better and crap.
True.
Just because one thing is better doesn't make anything else crap. Right. So how are you getting on?
Just
I've kind of left you a little bit on your own doing that piece. Which I don't mean to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded good. That sounds like what we refer to as a satisfying click.
That's in.
Right.
Don't know if you can see though, because I can't see my camera over.
No, we can't see it. Right, so this piece at the front is a little bit of a funny one.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah, you've got to glue this piece to the turret, not to the back. So what you want to do is where it makes contact, place a little tiny bit of glue on the turret and then place this in, but making sure you place it in the correct way round. Because if you notice, there's a right and a wrong way. Now, if you notice on this piece, there's a little, I'm sorry about the focus, there's a little tiny sticky out bit.
Yeah, that goes
that
on
wants
the
to
right.
go, it depends on which direction you're looking at it from. I would say left because I'd be looking at it and facing forwards. But obviously if it's upside down or however you've got the orientation, but it's a little bit of an awkward one. I'm not particularly keen on this. But what I'm going to do, obviously I'm using my liquid cement. Well, by some miracle, it works. So, yeah, sorry, I've just reread that message for Rachel, and I've just read it completely different. This time I've actually read it. So what I would be looking at as a first kit is anything that says starter set on it or gift set. They generally come with a brush and some paints. and a little bit of glue, and then they come. They're easy to assemble. They don't have too many pieces. You aren't exempt from tiny pieces, are you, Natasha?
No.
But the starter sets, they're really designed for youngsters who are just coming into the hobby. They're not too complex, you know, and they're not too, I don't think they're too expensive. So I personally would perhaps, I don't know, maybe go onto the Airfix website, have a little look at the different kits on offer, make a little short list of what you like the look of, and then maybe go on to YouTube. So if, for example, you like the Spitfire Mark 1, then type into YouTube, Airfix Starter Set Spitfire, and then see if someone's built it on YouTube. Have a little look at their video. It gives you a little idea of what it's going to be like, so you're not going into it totally blind. Maybe that's cheating.
No, it's helpful.
But yeah, that's the whole point of YouTube videos, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So I want to say let's play with the turret, but that glue is a little bit on the weak side because it's not fully set yet. So should we save that until the end of the build?
Which bit?
This turret.
Right, okay.
Because what you'll notice, I know you won't see it much on here because there's no focus, but you got two little notches on the underside of the turret. And then you'll see that on the top of the turret, have we stuck this on?
Stuck what on?
This bit. Should it look like that? Yes, it should, shouldn't it?
Yeah, mine's the exact same.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do that now then. Because obviously I've had to build another one because the one that I built before is at home. Because obviously each time I transport partially built models, I run the risk of breaking them. So it's just far easier for me to build this. So
you've got two on the go then.
Yeah. Which can you have too many Sherman tanks?
No.
No, I don't think you
just
can.
have a full army.
Yeah. Wow. Two tanks make an army does it? It does not, or something like that. I'll work that out. I wish I'd known this earlier. I could have glued this before and it'd be set now. But that's actually not. I think that might be a better fit than last time, which kind of emphasizes my point that this one at this point is building together a little bit better than the last one. So, you know, practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
Right, that's on. So on the top of the tank there, you'll see you've got two notches. And there you've got two little tabs. And what you're going to do, don't do this yet, but you'll put the turret into there like so. Perhaps. There you go. And then you push it down and then you'll twist it. And that's how you get the turret on. Do you know what, Lord Peter Webster? I have seen build video number 2. And so you've said I was building the Lancaster but cancelled it as there were so many tiny pieces that would be too much for my eyesight to cope with. And now doing the 66. Well, if you do struggle with the pieces, you can always send them to me, Peter, and I'll do them and send them back to you. But that was... so I've got a little bit of a secret for you. I think I've already announced it, but I haven't officially properly announced it. I will be doing the Hong Kong models version of the scale model kit Lancaster. Same scale as the Harshette. It's going to be a little bit of a Harshette versus scale model build. What can I build for the same money or less? Can I build it better or as good as? Now, obviously, I'm watching the videos that come out on YouTube, and I've got a few little issues with it.
Yeah,
yeah, with the Harshette one. The main issue I found with stage 2 is you've got all these little tiny fiddly pieces. If you're going to be, why are you spending £1,400 to build a kit which you could buy the same pieces for £355? Yeah, or £400. Yeah, you're spending 3 times. You know, if you've got to put them together like that. I mean, I know it's kind of defeats the object of a part work. That's what a part work is. Sorry, how are you getting on, by the way?
Trying
are you
to
waiting
work
for me?
Part.
Sorry, say that again, Tasha.
Just working out this part.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
This little tiny thing.
Yeah. So yeah, and I can imagine some people having a lot of trouble, but you know, I'm kind of looking at stage 2 and thinking it's pretty much exactly the same as a scale model version, except that you don't have to paint the Hachette one. Is that a pair of tweezers I see on your desk?
Yes, guess who got me these?
I can only imagine. Does it begin with Lord Peter Webster?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good guy, isn't he?
He got me these because he thought they would help me.
And do they help you?
I've actually kept a pair for the diamond painting as well. They're that good.
Yeah. No, they are really good.
They are really helping me a lot.
And what's good about them, because they've got ceramic nibs, but so if you shoved them in the plug sockets, you probably won't get an electric shock.
Yeah.
Dominic, Penny, I agree with you, but the part work is partly die cast. Yeah, but look, die cast is lovely, and we appreciate that die cast is more expensive than plastic. But when you got a model sitting on a stand, oh, are you whizzing ahead? You on the next stage?
I don't know. I'm doing a little tiny bit.
I thought you were still on stage 10. Oh God, you're enthusiastic.
I'm on B10 because I didn't know where you were.
Oh, good luck with B10. That'll be your little really tiny fiddly bit, but you'll probably help you if you got those lovely tweezers. Yeah, so I don't know. You see, die cast, it's painted black die cast. Does it really make a difference whether it's plastic or die cast? It's certainly heavier with die cast, isn't it? But I don't know. I mean, I think this is an opinion that's going to split. Some people are going to say die cast is better. Some people are probably going to say, does it really make a difference? So I think I'm going to use tweezers for this tiny part because the carpet monsters haven't got it yet, and I want to try and keep it that way.
I'm just not going to touch it till it dries.
Yeah.
I let everything ping the other time.
Well, this piece is actually quite a nice one because it's got a little hole.
Yeah.
Rather than placing a part onto it, you're placing it into a hole, which is obviously going to help. So again, I apologize for the focus, and you're going to have to put up with that for the rest of the stream. But so that's that piece. So then we've got, I know what it is. You just want to get this finished, don't you?
No, I just didn't know where you were.
Right, when you cut off piece 19, be very careful.
Oh, God.
Because you've got these little tiny pieces on the edge. You can't see them on there because of the focus. But it's actually detail, and the sprue gates are actually attached to that small detail. So
them little, really tiny little
they're like little holes on the end, yeah. Don't cut the holes off.
Right, okay.
So you'll see from the outline that there's little bits sticking out either side. I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd tested this camera before. See, it works quite well from down here. So, and then this should go in with a shaped peg. So that's nice and easy to put in.
All right, so you want me to get it out?
Only when you're ready. And there is only one possible way this piece is going in because of the shape of the peg. And there is one piece left, which is the end of the turret. And that's B16. So you've completed an aeroplane and you're on the way to building a tank. Do you have any thoughts on what you prefer? Are you still a general modeler, do you think?
I haven't got a special one at the moment.
Okay.
I am getting used to them.
Yeah, because I'm going to avoid asking the question, what did you prefer, this or the JP? Because obviously you're comparing a finished model with a model that's not yet finished, where you've had some guidance.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that this is a better constructed one, because I mean, I know on the first stream you went, oh, that's going together much better than the JP, mainly because of the cleanup. So
yeah,
that's
and
quite
obviously
nice.
learning the little tricks with the glue and stuff like that, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
So but I still gave it a go, and I'm still proud that I've done it.
No, I think you did very, very well. I cannot emphasize enough. If I'd done that JP as well as that as my first ever model, well, to be honest with you, ignore the words first, because it was a well-built model, full stop.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I've done quite well on there, and if you struggle, I'm really not going to be super disappointed with you. In fact, I'm not going to be disappointed at all. But I have now finished building mine.
I haven't yet.
No, it's fine. You take your time. You're ready when you're ready.
There we go. Got it.
Did the carpet monster?
Yeah, carpet monster.
Okay.
I knew I would.
So what bit has the carpet monster got? The hatch or the little tiny bit on the back?
It's got that bit.
What, the big roundy piece?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You'll find that.
Found it.
Carpet is, I told you, didn't I? Carpet monsters only eat small and very important parts.
Oh, God, yeah.
If it's not really an important part, they won't eat it. Right. So, Peter, yet again, you are a star, helping the community with your generosity. Lord Peter, that's what I enjoy. Yeah, he does. I got her the full set of reverse tweezers, Jobberton Junction, thumbs up, star prey. So Dominique, I like to airbrush it, so for me plastic is more fun. Lord Peter Webster says there's a small package waiting for you at home, Penny, and another one coming soon. That means absolutely nothing, because I know what your small packages are like. I'll be there half an hour unboxing it. It's nice. So Lord Peter says she's a star for getting this far. And you're a poet and you don't know it. Plastic is easier to work with than die cast too. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Yeah, it's see, right. So obviously, because I'm spending money on this Lancaster scale model, and I'm kind of batting for Team Hong Kong models.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I do my videos are going to take three stages. One is I'm going to be doing a reaction video to that particular stage of the build. Then this next bit is, wherever possible, I'm going to build the equivalent, which won't always be possible, Because, like, for example, if one of the stages on Harshette is get some wires and pop them in the drawer and wait for next week, obviously I can't do that with the Hong Kong models version. And likewise, there might be an awful lot of work to do to catch up with that particular stage. So whereas stage one, you've got some pre-painted pieces which just go straight in, glue them in. Well, obviously I've got to paint all of those first, haven't I? So it may be a struggle to catch up some weeks. But, you know, this is why I'm just trying to do about half an hour to an hour's work on each stage. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so sort of baton for Team Hong Kong models. There's a lot of things that sound really exciting and sound really good value. Now, I don't do the judge one issue on its value because you've got to look at the whole model. But I know some people do, and people go, "Oh, electronics. Do you know how cheap those electronics are? You know, if you got an LED with a little bit of wire and a plug, that's probably about 2p worth of electronics there." And then they'll go, "Oh, we've got some little piece." I'm like, "Yeah, do you know what? Pack one is probably, I would guess they've lost money on that stage one, issue one, possibly even on stage two. But I don't know the cost of casting metal. So, right. Actually, imagine it's quite cheap, isn't it? Because it's literally pouring molten plastic metal into a die. I suppose it's the same as making these scale model kits. You're just using a different thing. Right. Okie dokie. So I'm going to have to do a bit of a spiel now on painting. So what you will need, first of all, is the correct color, which in this case is the 159. You will need probably something to mix your paint into, and because these are water-based paints, you will need Lord Peter says they didn't use LEDs in stage two, they used fiber optics. Yeah, well, fiber optics, I think it's even cheaper, isn't it? But yeah, so, you know, die cast, people go, "Oh, die cast." Yeah, it's not necessarily bad. In fact, die cast doesn't hold the detail better than plastic. Right, so paint. So you can, because this is a water-based paint, you can thin this with water. Also, you can use it with things that are essentially water-based, like alcohol. So a lot of thinners, such as this, they're alcohol and water-based. This is, I make my own thinners, and it's pretty much the same as this. My thinners are 1 part alcohol, 2 parts water, a little bit of flow improver, which you can actually put washing up liquid in if you wanted, and a little bit of retarder medium, which you won't need. The reason I put retarder medium in mine, it just slows down the drying process. So if, for example, you're going to shoot this paint through an airbrush, by shooting a fine mist at high pressure, it's going to dry the particles of paint so much quicker. It's basically like if you're blowing on your paint as you're painting it. So it just counteracts that dryingness. If this was an oil-based paint, or an enamel-based paint, you would need to thin this with something that's compatible with enamels, such as, I don't know, is it white spirits you'd use for this, or odorless spirits? But they, you know, and then you've got lacquer-based paint, which you need lacquers to thin it down. So I could probably thin that in the pot. Which a way I would do that is I would add water to the pot and keep adding water until I get a nice consistency. Today, what I'm going to encourage you to do, I notice you've got that lovely palette sitting on your table.
Yeah.
I want you to get a little bit of paint out and pop it into your palette. I'm using these little milk containers because I'm in the hotel. That's one of the many ways that you can tell that I'm in the hotel, because I have access to these milk pallets. Now, I don't want you to put too much paint in to begin with. In fact, actually, I didn't want you to put any in, but we've already started now. So whatever you put in there. Oh, you haven't put any in yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Now, I was going to explain to you also about the principle of painting.
Right.
So if anybody wants to give any advice that's different from my advice, I am listening. I'm more than happy to. So I'm probably going to confuse you here, and I do apologize if I do. Let me just have a mouthful of coffee.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I'm trying to finish my coffee. I bought a can of root beer today. Never had that brand. It's actually drinkable. And then I've had my coffee. I want to finish my coffee so I can start on my fudge brownie milkshake. Right. So there's two main things about painting. One is lower to higher. Right. So if you look at these tank tracks, right, the wheels are lower than the tracks. Now, what's going to happen is if you paint those tracks and then you paint the insides, it is possible that you're going to accidentally get paint on the tracks. Yeah. Because the tracks are high. You've got to kind of go past the tracks to get to the lower bit. So the way around that is that you paint the inside and then you add the tracks on afterwards, because you're not going past the inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kick them off.
There's also another principle. I've got a bit of flash there. I didn't even notice. All right. The other principle is that you're laying down your light colors before you lay down your dark colors, because a dark color will cover a light color quite easily. So if you painted black over white,
yeah,
that will cover that. Whereas if you had to paint white over black, the coverage isn't there. And you kind of need to apply both of those principles where you can. If under there was a darker color than the tracks, then you would struggle. But then you've got to decide how to do it. Because if you painted the inside there black and then the tracks say white, if you got any overspill, any you paint over, you've got to cover that up. But then you learn other tricks like how to cover lighter colors up. So for example, if you were painting white onto black, you don't go straight in with the white. You go in with a color that's much stronger than white. So for example, a dark gray, and then you paint over the dark gray with a medium gray, then a light gray, and then a white. They're extreme examples. But it's nice and simple today, because our lower areas are our lower areas are our lighter colors, and our higher areas are our dark colors. Now there's one other thing. Metallics, two things about metallics. One is that they tend to work best on black, even better on a gloss black. We aren't going to exercise that rule today because A, we don't have any gloss black, and two, it's a little tiny bit on the fiddly side. But also metallics tend to be nice, good coverage. So I tend to try and do my metallics last because they'll go over. So for example, this bit, I think this bit there's some details on here, like there's an axe there. So to do that, I'll go over the whole lot in the green, and then I'll pick out the detail for the axe later, rather than trying to do the axe and then go round. Otherwise, I'm going to be like this with the green, trying to get round. No, I'll just go over the whole lot. So that is your absolute basic premise of paint. So With this paint, I'm gonna. Obviously, I've used this paint before. Experience is everything. I could probably just chuck a load of water in there, and then get it absolutely fine. You've never used this paint before, so you don't know what kind of consistency to use.
No.
So what I'm going to do is put a small blob into your palette. Start off with a small blob. Okay, and then what I'm going to ask you to do is add water, and maybe add about half as much water as you've added paint. Now, technically, you shouldn't be mixing the paint with your paintbrush. If you do ever mix your paint with a paintbrush, try not to get your paint to the top of the bristles. Otherwise, all the paint gets in the top of the bristles. You guys don't really want me to go through all of the terminology for the brushes, do you?
No.
Right. So with this, I've put roughly 1 part water, 2 parts paint. I've said that deliberately because I feel that's still not going to be that's going to be too thick. And then what we do is we find a piece of scrap. If you can find some with detail, excuse me, sorry. So there's a nice bit of detail up here on frame B. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint over that. Now, I can see that's not particularly great. It's not flowed that well. I'm not having much in the way of brush marks, but it's really not flowing that well. So I would say that's a little bit thick. And I'm sorry about the focus. So because it's still a little bit thick, we can add more water. Yeah.
Yeah, got you now.
Now we can add more water, but it's a little bit difficult to take it away. The only way, if we make this paint too thin, I'm not actually going to do anything about it, because thin paint just doesn't quite have the coverage, and we end up having to do a second coat. Now, if you were doing this for an airbrush, you would do what they call the consistency of milk. Now, the problem with that statement is what kind of milk? Semi-skimmed, skimmed. Is your milk the same as mine? If you live in Jersey, your milk might be a bit thicker than mine. But basically what they mean is if you pull it up the side of the palette, it wants to flow down again. Basically, you want paint that wants to move on its own. Okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find another piece of sprue, and I'm going to paint over that. Now, I've actually painted that a little bit too thin, and as a result, it's trying to split. Now, what splitting is, when you paint onto something, it kind of separates. Now, that's not a big problem, but actually, it's not splitting. It's just fine. Now, have a look at how it flows into the lettering, and then once you've got that, you can look at your paint and you start to know the kind of consistency we're looking at. I'm actually putting one more brush full of water in there. Now, to be honest with you, if I'd have painted that with the first batch, I probably would have been okay, because I'm not getting the brush marks in it. I'm not missing any chat, am I? No. So yeah, just each time you thin the paint down, just find a little practice area. I think actually I've got that quite well.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're actually looking for a ratio of approximately 1 part water, 1 part paint. Now, I find with Humbrol paints, which is what these are, or Airfix paints, I tend to find if you thin them with water, they will split easily. Which is why I tend to use my thinners with them. Just actually. Now I also, there we go. Look. Can you see that moving in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit thicker than water, but it's flowing like thick water. So that's kind of the consistency you're looking for. It will flow on a wet surface. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep finding area. I mean, after you've done this a few times, you just know. And what I tend to do, mostly by accident, I promise, I tend to over thin my paints. Now, if you don't thin your paints enough, it won't flow so good. You probably get brush marks and it just won't look so good.
Yeah.
If you over thin your paints, they will flow so much nicer, but you won't get the coverage. So as a result, you're going to have to do an extra coat or two. I would rather over thin my paint and have to do an extra coat than to not thin them enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So should we do a bit of painting?
I'll give it a go.
Right. So the best place to start your painting on something like this is the bottom and inside there, because, excuse me, sorry about that. When we put these tracks on,
Yeah.
you see that inside's going to be all covered up.
Yeah.
Now the underside, you're not going to see much because you're going to cover it. So if it turns out you've done that paint mixing really, really badly, you're going to see it straight away. Look. And then, I mean, I haven't done this really badly, but I'm painting an area where it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
Me, it's my chance to test. Now you won't always have the luxury of having parts that you can't see, cockpits, for example, and just try wherever possible to keep the flow in one direction. And you will notice that although the paint is green, it is a different shade from the plastic, which is good. I do like painting a different. Now this isn't the best brush for this.
No, I'll just tweak to that.
But it's a brush that works.
Yep.
Now, I probably actually, by accident, got that spot on. And by spot on, I mean it's almost perfect coverage. I'm going to need one more coat. If you've got coverage in one coat, I'd be a bit suspicious on that one, personally. So now we have a bit of a luxury that we've got 3-4 different sections to paint. So I would be inclined to paint the bottom on one side, pop it down, move on to another, then another, and then we can go back and do the other side, or maybe do this after halfway. And once that's all done, this paint will dry rather quickly. Figure modelers love it, because if you've got a batch of say 20 figures to paint, you'll paint the first one, then move on to the next one. By the time you've got to the last one, you go back to the first one and it's all dry and ready for the next coat. But you would have known that from your Jet Provost, won't you, that it dries quite quickly.
Yeah, I noticed it.
Yeah, but same principle as the glue, in that it dries rather quickly, but it needs time to set, to cure. So, for example, in about 10 minutes, this paint will be ready to give a second coat. But if you were to put masking tape on it and then lift the masking tape, it will probably pull all the paint off.
I'm not doing that then.
Well, no, but sometimes you need to do masking.
Oh, right, okay, got you now.
So what you need to do is leave it overnight for that paint to fully cure. And then when you put masking tape on, it won't pull off. It won't pull the paint off.
So we're painting everything this colour?
We are painting everything. You
Right,
can miss the actual tracks out if you like, but we've got to do the inside of the tracks.
So all this goes this colour?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Which, in one sense, it's good because you've got it all in one colour.
Yeah.
So not a lot of fiddly painting. But on the other, me personally, I find brush painting large areas of the same colour not the most interesting thing in the world. But obviously, if I had a larger brush, this would be done a lot quicker. Now, I did also say to you to put one drop of paint on, didn't I?
Yeah.
Now, you are obviously not going to paint all of this with the amount of paint you've put in the palette.
Right.
But what it will show you is with one drop of paint, how far can you go?
Yeah.
So obviously, over time, and I mean a lot of time, not like tomorrow, you'll be able to look at the amount of surface area on a model and go, yeah, that's about how much paint I need. And that is not the most awful paint job I've done using horrible Humbrol acrylics. So are you feeling therapeutic?
Yeah, by painting.
Good. So I personally am just doing the sides.
Oh, well, I've gone all over the place,
Well,
mate.
that's fine if you've gone all over the place. Because by not doing the bottom and the top, it gives me something to hold on to. So when
I haven't done the top, I've done the sides though.
Oh, that's fine. So when I come to do the next bit, I can hold the parts I've already painted and then do the bits I haven't. So, and I tried to sort of do sections.
Yeah.
Oh, I long for my airbrush now. Right, that's that bit done. Now, for doing this bit, I would just literally go all over. I wouldn't care about getting the tracks. Really don't care about getting the tracks because I know I'm going to paint over those with a darker colour. But make sure you do get in those cogged wheels. And obviously both sides. Well, you only really need to do the outside.
Ain't that far yet.
No, that's fine. Now, don't rush it. Just crack on and just do it at your own pace.
Yeah.
If it takes you an hour to do one wheel, then it takes you an hour to do one wheel. And I'm running out of paint. So I did actually get a bit more coverage out of this than I thought. So how much coverage have you got with one drop of paint?
Quite a bit actually.
Yeah, looks like you've done well. So that's partly because you thinned it, and partly, well, it's obviously you're thinning it, you're producing more paint, aren't you?
Yeah.
But also when it's thinner, it flows easier. So it wants to move about. I'm humanizing paint now. Hi, I'm painting. I just want to move because I'm a disco diva. Right, so now I've pretty much come to the end of my paint there. I'm going to dip and run and blow my nose.
No problem.
And then I'm going to run and take a little break, if that's okay with you.
No, that's fine.
And then I will come back and finish off. I might even cheat and get a big brush out. Oh, so how is everyone? Right, Marie got her first ET pack yesterday. Mine is on its way. I think it's going to be a good package day for me when I get back. So I'm quite looking forward to that. I've got a Robocop on the way, ET on the way, a Lancaster on the way, one, maybe two mystery packages from one of my favorite people on YouTube. And I might have an eBay package or two.
Nice.
Well, I'm currently making offers on the Claire fuselage for the Lancaster.
Yeah.
Right, they don't use LEDs in stage 2, they use fiber optics. I've actually got some fiber optics, and that is chat caught up. So I will see you in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Have fun.
I will. Always do. Oh, that's as far as I've got. Whee. There we go. Don't know if you can see that. I'm just painting everything. Painting it all. That is so hard going around them knobbly bits. I'm calling them knobbly bits. Because that's what they are. So what's everybody been up to then? trying to think what I've been up to. There we go. There we go. No idea where else Penny painted.
How you diddling?
I'm diddling. I'm diddling. Is that all right?
Yeah, it looks fine. What do you think? That's the main question.
Giving it my best.
That's all you can do. So I'm gonna cheat. No, I'm not, because I haven't. You know, I forgot to bring my paints, which means I did. Yeah, I didn't bring my dropper bottle with me. So I'm gonna have to make do with. Well, I either have to make do with using brushfuls of paint, or I'm gonna have to try and pour a little bit of this in. It's not gonna happen, is it? So I'm going to have to go really back to basics. Actually, what I could do, if I dip one of these in the water, I could perhaps pour very gently. That'll do.
Am I painting all the track?
Yep. You don't need to do the outside.
Right, okay.
Because it's going to be painted in black. But if you do paint the track with green, you've effectively put a base coat on, haven't you? Because we know we're going to put a second coat. Paint will stick to paint better than it'll stick to plastic.
So is it wise painting it all then?
Personally, because most of this is green, in an ideal situation, I would get my biggest brush that I could and just go and then start doing this is more of a detail brush. So you're then going to get this with the black, and you're going to be doing this with it, trying to avoid the parts that you want to keep green. So so obviously, like over time, you'll get yourself a brush. This is a very basic brush set that I've got, and it's got lots of different brushes in it. So that's one of my favorites because it's a nice, well, it's a wider brush. This is a flat brush, so it's I'll show you the difference. So get a bit of paint on there. Obviously the brush holds more paint, and then can you see how quickly I can cover that?
Yeah.
And it just makes short work of painting it. Now, are you noticing that the paint is just starting to try and split when you put it onto the bare plastic?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it does that, just keep moving it around. Get as much as you can. You will get the odd bubble perhaps, but just go with it. And then when that layer is dried, you'll do another layer, and it'll probably cover most of those bubbles up. That might be a little bit too thick, actually. I'm looking like I've got a few brush marks. So we'll thin our paint right quickly. And before that paint is dried, and maybe just put a tiny bit extra water on the brush, and we'll just go over that. If you can flood it, if the paint is really thin, you can flood it and it will eventually, it just takes a little bit longer to dry. But look, where that's been a little bit, where I was getting brush marks, so I've gone over it with a bit of water. Right, then I'll get a little tissue or kitchen roll, as I prefer to use. Don't use toilet tissue. We'll just take a bit of excess off the brush.
Yeah.
And then we can go over it again. But don't do this once it's starting to dry.
Right, okay.
Because all you'll do is you'll just muck it up all up. Now, I'm starting to hit some of the side where I've already done one layer.
Yeah.
And then because I've already got the first layer, I'm now getting a slightly more solid coat. And then the back, this is actually a second coat for the back. But this will show you the difference between one layer and two. So you might paint that first layer on and go, well, that doesn't look really that good. It probably won't. In fact, I actually say if it looks good on one coat, well, it's not going to look good on one coat. So let me switch my camera so I've got a slightly better focus.
Okay.
So there's the top of it. That's not really very good either, is it? Because of the. Let me move my camera. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. Do what you got to do, haven't you?
Can you see the coverage on that? That's not great.
Yeah.
You look on the side. There we go. You can actually see where it meets.
Yeah.
But it's very thin coats. And you just keep applying coats. If you feel it needs 5 coats, you put 5 coats on. If you've got to put 5 coats on, you probably put it on really, really thin. So Lord Peter says, looks good, Tash. Smith Speed says, hi all. And then Lord Peter says, hi, Mike and Teresa. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to focus on this bit until I'm fairly happy with it. And then I'll move on. But you can paint however you want. Do one coat all over. Do one coat, then move on to something else and do one coat on that, and then go back and do the second coat all over. I'm not liking that. That paint is just. When you actually apply the paint, are you getting any brush marks? Can you see the brush marks?
Yeah, a little bit. Because
you might want to think about.
Painter.
No, that's fine. So when you apply the paint,
yeah,
if you're seeing brush marks, you might want to consider just thinning the paint down a little bit more.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and then also a trick I haven't mentioned yet. When you do your first coat, you're going in one particular direction. When you do your second coat, go in the opposite direction, and that will help eliminate brush marks. Okay, but I can almost guarantee this is going to come out better than the JP because you've just thinned your paint a little bit. If you only thin your paint a little bit and you still get brush marks, it'll still look better. But you'll learn over time exactly what you're looking for. If you feel you've got brush marks, just try thinning your paints just a tiny bit more, fine-tuning the amount. And as I say, painting, ideally, you want to apply a primer. You don't, a lot of models, you don't need to prime them. A lot of these paints are kind of designed that you don't need to put primer on. Now, there will be a group of modelers that will tell you, hey, you don't need primer for that particular brand of paint. And you will get a batch of modelers that will say, yeah, always put your primer down. I am a primer fan. If you put a primer down when you didn't really need it, well, you've just done a little bit extra work, but you're not going to ruin the finish. This is a really good example here. Right, this is really, really good to show you. So what's happened is where my paint is just slightly over thinned.
Yeah.
Can you see I'm getting that bubbling?
Yeah.
Right, it's not the end of the world. I'm just going to leave that and let that go dry. And then when I apply a second coat, so remember that's the bottom of the tank.
Yeah.
When I apply the second coat, that will cover that up. So long as I'm keeping my paint thin, it will be fine. So look, because this track, because I've got a bigger brush. Whoops, just knocked all my paint flying. I'm just going in and just getting it covered. And yes, I'm getting paint on the tracks, but I know I'll cover that up later on. Okay, so how are you feeling your finishes?
What?
Do you feel that it's getting good coverage and it's looking nice?
Yeah, still got like paint marks in, but
Right.
I think it's because I'm too heavy
Right.
on my paintbrush.
So if you think you're getting a few little brush marks, just add a little tiny bit more water to the paint mix, and then you're always looking at the way that the paint flows, and then you kind of get that idea of how you want it to flow. Now, this is probably going to put you off, but you could get a different brand of paint, and you thin it exactly the same way as you do with the hand roll, and you pop it on, and it's too thick or too thin. It's just different brands are different. Obviously, we're dealing with a hand roll, and what I find is that with the hand rolls, I don't feel thinning them with water is the best way to go. I much prefer to use thinners because you're using flow improver. You find that you can actually thin it down, and also using alcohol, you can thin them down and they don't split on the surface quite so much. You know, the way that I showed you that bottom of that tank. But it really doesn't, it's not the end of the end of the world, because I mean, I know I'm going to be applying a second coat anyway. There's a painter called Duncan Rhodes. His catchphrase was 2 thin coats, because that's pretty much become his catchphrase, and he's left Games Workshop now. Games Workshop is pretty much using the catchphrase 3 thin coats. Both are just as good as each other. But like I say, the more coats you're having to apply, at least they're thin and you're not getting brush marks.
True.
Okay, so
Excuse my nose.
So this part here, it's actually gone on okay. Can you see that's quite terrible coverage, isn't it? That's one coat on the bottom there.
Is it?
Yeah. Now, if I apply, I'm going to just put my camera here, I think. So if I now apply a second coat, remember I'm going to, because I painted it that way the first time, I'm going to go across. Oh, another thing, sorry, it's just cropped up on mine. If you are getting bubbles, are you finding you're getting little bubbles every now and again?
A little bit.
Right, it means you're painting too fast. Slow it down a bit.
Okay.
Right, I'm actually going to do this for the purposes of demonstration. Right, let that dry a little bit. So we have got lots of highs. Hi, Mike and Teresa. Hi, all. Hi, Peter. Hi to Teresa Smith. Hi, Smith Speed. Hi, Dominic. We've got Anfield Road layout in the loft. Hi, Dom. Airbrushing. Good man. Actually, talking about airbrushing, where's my airbrush gone? I had that out earlier on.
Did you?
Yeah. I have a little cheat for you. Where's that gone? at it, it's right on my desk in front of me. So when you're airbrushing, what you'll do is you go over it with a little bit of air from the airbrush. No paint, just there, and it helps the paint dry a bit quicker.
Ah, okay.
Right, so obviously you saw the coverage that I had on the bottom of that tank.
Yeah.
Right, I've done 2/3 of it with a second coat. Can you see the improvement?
Yes.
Again, it's not great coverage. It's improved. So what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to do 1/3 of it. And maybe the way I've thinned this, I may possibly need 4 coats. But, you know, if it needs 4 coats,
it needs 4 coats.
4 coats.
It needs 20, you'll get 20, wouldn't it?
Yeah, some people are just fantastic with paint, and then they can just go, yep, that's absolutely perfect. Actually, saying that, 3 coats isn't far off. It probably ain't going to need more than 4 coats. While I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to do some other areas of it. So I'm running out of paint now as well. So once you've got an eye for what the paint looks like when it's perfectly thinned, it makes it a lot easier making the next batch up. But use those spare bits of sprue and paint on them, and test it.
True.
You know, it's there. You've paid for that sprue. Use it. I mean, I don't often throw sprue away. I use it for all kinds of things. Remember we mentioned about sprue goo?
Yes.
Last stream. So there's obviously that you can use it for. I also use it for rigging. So little strings, if you need strings on, say, for example, ships, what you can do is you can get a little piece of sprue, light it, just warm it up with a lighter and then pull it, and then you get a thin strand.
All right.
Okay. So that third coat is just about dry. So can you now see the difference between 1 coat, 2 coats, and 3 coats?
Yeah, and I'm only on my first coat.
No, that's fine. So you just need to build that coverage. It's a little bit patchy. I'm just going to keep painting over it until I get a solid layer of paint. I've got some areas here I haven't even had a first coat, especially on the top. But obviously, try and know where you are on the layers, otherwise you'll end up with some bits might have 1 coat and other bits might have 15 coats. But so long as the whole thing looks fairly evenly covered. Now the thing I have when I'm airbrushing, because I just keep going over until I'm happy with the coverage, I actually don't know how many layers of paint I've applied. I might apply 2 layers, I might apply 10. I really don't know. But also I thin my airbrush paints a little bit more than I do with a brush. So you're likely to need more coats anyway. Right, let's pop a 4th layer on there. Just see if I can. I think 4 coats is probably, for the way that I've thinned my paint, I think 4 coats is probably it. If it is slightly patchy, you can always get around it by weathering it, but obviously try and get the coverage, because in real, this is a little bit slightly advanced techniques, but in real life this would have been out in various weathers. Parts of it would have been sun bleached, so you may find, and we'll get into highlighting. I've got a feeling we won't be able to touch the highlight. We won't be ready for learning highlighting until the next video. But it's obviously like with a tank, you would probably expect the top of the tank to be a little bit more sun bleached than the bottom because it's been exposed to the sun a little bit more. And then when you're doing dirt and stuff, you'd probably dirty up the sides more.
Yep.
Because where it's been running through mud and stuff. And then obviously if it's a modern tank, it probably won't be weathered as much because obviously in peacetime you've got more time to clean and maintain the tank. But if you've got a Desert Army Second World War tank, it might be a little bit more worn because they're in the middle of a war. When have they got time to sit down and strip and maintain the tanks?
Exactly.
So this is all the things that that you need to think about. But if in doubt, keep it cleaner. There is absolutely no shame in having an unweathered model.
No.
Nice and clean, straight off the factory. That's fine. I think these tracks are just about ready, actually, for me.
And I've just started the second one.
No, that's fine. We won't go on to the next stage until you finish with this stage. And you may find you need to do some more painting on the next video as well.
Okay.
But the next stage after this is going to be a little bit more detailed painting. And obviously I'm painting a little bit quicker now because I've got a bigger brush out. You don't mind me cheating, do you, and using other equipment? But then again, what I'm trying to show you also is obviously you're only using what came with the kit.
Yeah.
And you can use what comes with the kit as you are showing. But hopefully by me showing other bits of equipment, you'll know what's out there and you'll know if any of it is an advantage to you.
True.
I mean, you could go out and get a 1-inch paintbrush. Probably won't be too much good for you, especially if you're doing small, intricate painting. But if you're doing a big 4-foot terrain board, you probably want a 4-inch paintbrush, won't you? That'll make short work of it. Right, so I'm just going to slow it down a bit. So next time I do a live stream, I'll have these cameras switched around. I'm actually using this camera, which is kindly donated by Peter Webster.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but I decided to use that camera for the downwards camera. Now, if I switch cameras, the camera that I'm using for the front face, and this is a very old £35 camera I bought.
Wow.
In fact, I think this might actually have been bought for me, but it was about £35.
Yeah.
And I think it's got a manual focus. It's got this bit there that twists.
Right.
I think it's a manual focus. And I think I'm going to call it the Peter Webster camera. I think that might be a better catch. Downwards needs to be my face camera and vice versa. But, you know, this is all playing around, isn't it? I was going to bring my camcorder and I thought, do you know what? I can't be bothered faffing around bringing the camcorder backwards and forwards. When I've got the money, I might buy another camcorder. But see, a lot of all this equipment that I've bought, this is specifically for the hotel, and all of this I've got at home, usually better. But this is good enough so that I don't have to travel. If I ever went back to Scotland, suddenly got a phone call, you aren't ever going back to London, and I end up losing all of this, it's not the end of the world. It's probably about a couple of £100 worth of stuff. But obviously I don't want to lose a camcorder, do I?
No.
But if this job ever comes to the end, what am I going to do with 2 good camcorders?
True.
So, right, hey, oh, do you know what? I'm really pleased for that. I know you can't see it, but I'll see if I can get it with the other camera. Yeah, look, the difference each coat has made. So you've just got to be patient and just build those coats up. Now, if I had an airbrush, I would have had that all done in one swoop. But obviously you are an absolute beginner here, and I wouldn't say, I mean, this airbrush, this is a cheap airbrush. I think this costs roughly 3 times the cost of this kit.
Wow.
So it's at that. I mean, if you want to buy a really good airbrush, like a really good airbrush, you're talking a few £100 minimum. To go out and spend that much money when you're just starting out in model making, I think that's a bit too much too soon. Peter Webster says, I'm off now, getting tired. See you all in the next time. Goodbye. Take care. Yeah, take care. Thank you for popping in.
Thank you, Peter.
So Anfield is airbrushing a wash on the fence. That I'm gonna have to quiz you about that one at some point, because I know you can airbrush washers, but they act differently through the airbrush, don't they? If you paint a wash,
Yeah.
the nature of a wash is it kind of flows into the recesses. But if you airbrush a wash, you get a kind of a more even coverage, which is why I like brush painting a wash. Right, I'm going to do some more paint. I think this is like, I can't really describe this. This is like my mate's gravy. You do not want to be painting with that paint. One of the paint. I mean, I got really lucky on all the other paints.
Yeah.
At home, but the one of these paints, I can only really describe it as only just usable. That, I don't know if you can see that. That's one step away from being a solid lump.
Yeah.
It's a solid lump with a bit of moisture in it, so it is savable.
Yeah.
I do like my little syringes, so I can apply water and stuff a lot more accurately. I think that's too thin. But that's hitting over. Oh, actually, do you know what? That is a little bit thin, but it's okay. It's when it's so thin that it's just, there's no coverage at all. Yeah, that's almost a wash, which you technically don't know what a wash is, do you?
Nope.
Okay. So a wash is about, I mean, I'm hoping to teach you a wash in the next stage, because what we've got here, we can make a very basic wash. Ideally, what you want, I'll go through all of this again another time, but if you are, we're using acrylic paints.
Yeah.
Now, acrylic and enamel won't mix.
Right.
Right. So what happens is when this acrylic is dried, you can apply an enamel wash, and it will go over. It won't pull up the paint. It won't want to stick to the paint. So it will act as a wash. You want the wash to not sit on the flat surfaces. You want it to run into all the recesses. Likewise, if you are using an enamel paint now, and then you put an acrylic wash, it will have the same effect. Another way to create that same effect is by using a varnish, because do you understand what I mean by surface tension?
A little bit, not a lot.
So basically, if you have a gloss surface, it's like glass, it's perfectly smooth. If you have a matte surface, if you looked at it at a telescopic level, it's all rough. which is why paint wants to stick to matte paint, because it's getting caught in all those recesses. So if you want to apply a wash, you apply, first of all, apply gloss varnish, which makes it silky smooth. And then all the paint wants to run everywhere, and it gets trapped in all the corners because there's nowhere else it can run to.
Yeah.
And then what that will do is that will emphasize any detail. But I'm probably confusing you now, and we'll go through it in another stage.
Oh, well, I'll get there with it all. It just takes time.
We haven't finished painting it yet, so we're not even ready for a wash. But it's something that I will deal with. I'll try and cover as much as I possibly can. Oh, do you know what? A little bit of trial and error, that has worked most perfect, that layer of paint. Did you also notice that when you paint the paint on, it's lighter?
Yeah.
And then as it dries, it darkens.
Yes, I noticed that. I was like, is that supposed to look like that?
Yeah, it's a little bit off-putting at first, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it does act as a good little marker. Because if the paint is light coloured, you're like, oh, yeah, don't want to paint there. I've already painted there. That's wet.
Am I supposed to be doing that bit and all? I've left that part out.
Yes. Yeah, oh, definitely.
Well, I'll go for that then.
Otherwise, it'll look odd, won't it?
Oh, well, I'm odd.
Well, I didn't want to say anything. Maybe that's why I like you.
Well, it's got to be different, haven't we?
You know, if you multiply two odds together, you get an even, don't you?
Yep, exactly.
Is that right? No. If you add two odds together, you get an even.
Yes.
So we're even between us. If you add an odd and an even, you end up with an odd. So if one of us was even, we would end up odd as a pair. Don't know if any of that waffle made sense.
Yeah, it made sense.
Okay. If it made sense to us, it's okay.
Yeah. So if it didn't to anyone else, well,
they don't matter.
Nope.
So everyone's mostly saying goodbye to Peter. He's a lovely guy, isn't he?
Yeah. He's the one that, I think it was last year, he got me a stitch glass with my name on it.
Oh, bless.
That was a really nice surprise, that was. I weren't expecting that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most know.
He has been naughty, though, because, well, I feel a bit bad because I said to him, I said, oh, don't get me anything, because obviously I'm a little bit better off than some people. And if I need something, I can always buy it. You know, save your gifts for someone that really needs it.
Yeah.
And then I say to him, I had a problem with my camera at home. And I said, look, can you do me a favour? Is there any chance I can, because you mentioned a camera. I said, could I have one of your cameras? My other camera, it worked on OBS. No, it didn't work on OBS, but it worked on stream. So I knew there was nothing wrong with the camera.
Yeah.
I said, oh, can I have one of your cameras? And then I'll give away my other one to someone.
Yeah.
And then just literally 20 minutes before it arrived in the post, I fixed my camera. I had to go into manual settings, and I fixed it. And then I thought, you know what, I'll take this. I said to him, do you mind if I still keep it? He says, yeah, you do what you want with it. But he actually sent me two.
Wow.
So, I am going to send one to you, Natasha.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, don't thank me. It's Peter Webster who gave it to me. And then one of them, I thought I'll try it out at the hotel. because I'm kind of going on the basis that at the hotel, it doesn't have to be top of the range camera. It just needs to be good enough, doesn't it?
Yeah, as long as it works.
But it's, I'll tell you what, I don't know where Peter's got those cameras from, but they are better than they look. You know, when you get something, you think, oh, that's not really an expensive camera. That's not going to be that good. It's a lot better than you think it is. And some of my best cameras have been cheaper ones. Like I say, the one you're looking at me through now, I think that was like a £35 camera. And I've had that about 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't as good as my Logitech C920 and C930, but they're £100, £200 cameras, so you'd expect them to be better. But as I say, you know, I don't know how much that actually costs, but that camera there is 35 quid. I mean, look, 35 quid, that's not too bad, is it?
No.
But a lot of it is to do with the lighting. If you've got a really good camera and really poor lighting, you're not going to get a good picture. Oh, I just remembered something. I've got a milkshake in the bathroom. I keep my milkshake in the bathroom because I'll tell you about you probably already known about them, but I've got this really funny bathroom door.
Right.
Yeah, so my bathroom door, I've got the toilet in the bathroom, and if you open the bathroom door right up, then the door is also then becomes a toilet door. It's really freaky.
That is weird.
Yes, I know, but it's like walk in the bathroom, open the door, and then you've got another doorway, a door frame, and that's where the toilet is. And that's where I keep my milk, not in the toilet, but on the shelf at the back of the toilet, because where I have the heat on in here, anything that can go off quickly, like milkshake, obviously I want to try and keep that as cool as I can.
Yeah.
So by having it in the bathroom or in the toilet, it's got a door to sort of block the heat out.
True.
So it's cooler in my bathroom because I do close my bathroom door a lot. So, glass stolen from the bar.
Got to be done.
Yeah. Well, no, they said to me, do you what I said at home? Because they give me these, they got 2 glasses in the bathroom. And they're not really, because I drink a lot of squash, try and save a bit of money. And you can only, these glasses, they only hold like 2 or 3 mouthfuls.
All right.
Yeah, it's like, I think they're like more designed for toothbrushing. Right. Dominique says, I'm gone again. Have a nice evening. See you in the next live stream. You take care, my friend.
Bye, Dom.
Dominique, sorry, Jobberton says, bye, Dominique. Here we go. So, Penny, what you are saying is that the hotel you're staying in does not have a fridge in the room. No, it does not have a fridge in the room. And I did have a fridge, which I gave away to one of the other drivers because I didn't think I'd need it leaving Travel Lodge. But I don't really need it. Night Dominique as well. It depends how you play the system. What I do when I'm working, I now get up in the morning, take my empty coffee cups down, and I put them in the like where the breakfast bit is. You have a bit where you put your plates and cups and stuff. And then what I do is I get a cup of coffee from downstairs in a clean cup.
Yeah.
I then drink that with my breakfast, having had a cigarette first, have my breakfast, then I make another cup of coffee and I bring that up with me. When I finish that coffee, I rinse that cup up, and then I off at some point I go to work. Now, what they told me, and a few others, they said, we'll tell you a little secret. They have a milk machine, like a big machine they put the milk in. They have to have that on 24 hours a day to keep the milk cool. So otherwise, if they turned it off after breakfast and then switched it on again before breakfast, all the milk would have warmed up and would have gone off. So they have to run it 24/7. So they said, excuse me, anytime you want milk, just go to the machine and get it. So what I then do is I've had 2 cups of coffee with milk. So when I come home from work, I go straight to the servery bit. I get a green cup and I put some milk in it. I come upstairs, I make coffee in the previously cleaned cup, and I pour the milk in. And that's so I don't need a fridge. It's the only thing I really need fridges for. We've now got a Sainsbury's over the road. They do some pretty reasonable ready meals for about £2-3 each. And they got a microwave in the hotel, which they didn't have in the last hotel. Plus, I tend to use the canteen at work where I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because it's decent food. You know, I had spaghetti bolognese the other day. Yesterday, I had fish chips and beans. They've run out of peas as well. I just really want fish chips and peas. But everyone's saying it seems to be some kind of world shortage on peas. I don't know what it is. The last 2 weeks at Bow Depot, they didn't have any peas.
Really?
No. And now I've gone back to Barking and they've run out of peas. So
wow.
What is it? What is it about peas?
I know, everybody must like peas.
I don't know. I thought maybe they're coming by ship through this place where they're getting blown up or something. You peed in the sea.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. So I don't know how many coats I've applied to this now, but it is looking better with every coat.
I've only done 2. Well,
how's it
2. That's 2.
Yeah. Now, if you've done your paint exactly perfectly, that's all you need. But I think I'm looking at maybe 4 coats here.
I haven't done mine perfect, but I'm learning as I go along.
Well, that's what it's all about. How many coats of paint did you put on the Jet Provost?
2.
2. Okay.
First coat was not added water. Second one was added water.
Do you know, that's exactly how I do it. I
don't know why, but I did it.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because I always like to thin my subsequent coats down.
Yeah, I don't know why I done that, but I did.
No, I kind of started doing it with primer years ago, and now I do it with paint.
Yeah.
It just gives a little. It's more of a touch up than a full coverage.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know why I done it, but I did do that. So then that's when I got told to water it down. Yeah. That's what happened to the second coat.
So you told me to water it down the first time then?
I didn't water it down the first time.
No, I know you didn't the first time. So you'll probably find that most of those brush marks are from the first coat.
Yeah.
And all that's happened is that your second coat hasn't really added much to it. One thing I've not actually painted is the turret, because I'm using that to hold. But Pardon?
I've done mine.
Oh, that's fine. You know,
I stuck my hands underneath it.
Well, yeah. So you could if you put your finger in there.
Yeah.
But now, well, I'm happy with my tracks. It only seems to have taken about 3 coats.
Second with a lot of it.
The actual main tanky bit isn't really that good, but I've got a feeling I put like 4 coats in one area and only 1 or 2 coats in another. So, which is why I like to do sections so you don't get like tide marks.
Yeah.
I'm not worrying about inside there too much because there's going to be a turret on there.
I ain't even started inside there.
You've done whatever you've done. Yeah, do you know what? That coverage is a little bit nicer. You're going to love the next bit, Natasha.
Am I?
Yeah, little fiddly bits of painting.
Oh, yeah, love it not.
Just picking
My
out,
favourite. I've been waiting for that.
but you're going to love it anyway.
Can I cheat and not do it?
You can do whatever you want. It's your model. But, you know, do you want this model to be the best it can be?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I guilt tripped you now, haven't I?
No.
If you want a terrible looking model, then you can miss it out. And I will taunt you for the rest of your life going, ooh, that's horrible. No, I wouldn't do that. So I've got to admit, I'm kind of slapping coats on now. You can do that when your paint is a little bit over thinned. Now, what you could do, I'm not asking you to do it, and you can't do it because you haven't got a white, but if you were to apply a little touch of yellow,
Yeah.
and then just go over the larger areas, like say around there, not the raised detail and not the little tiny bits, but maybe bits down the side.
Yeah.
You can, and really thin your paint down. You can begin to just create a little bit of tonal variation. Little light patches where maybe the sun has just bleached it a little bit. But obviously we don't have a yellow, so we're not able to do that. And it's something that will probably require a little bit of practice.
With me, probably, yes.
But, you know, it's... I might like to go over this. I mean, I haven't got any light colors, so I can't, but I might like to just hit this with a little dry brush. And I'll explain what a dry brush is. So, are you aware of the concept of highlights and lowlights?
Highlights are where you want it lighter, isn't it?
So highlights is when you're highlighting raised areas.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, now the easiest way to do that is you get a bit of brush on your paint, and then what you do is you rub off as much as you possibly can using a towel. Right, and then it looks like you've got no brush on your paint, no paint on your brush even, and then you're just going to hit that across your model, so like that.
Right.
And what's going to happen is it's only going to pick up the raised areas. It damages your brush, but the effects are really nice. And then what a low light is where you're adding a darker color to the deeper regions. And then by having this paint that we're applying on now is your mid-tone. If you add in a dark tone and then you add in a highlight, you've now got a three-step process, and it really does emphasize certain areas. It makes areas stick out, and it really picks out the detail, and you'll just go, oh, that's amazing. But that's more of a figure painting technique. There are areas you'll do a bit of dry brushing on. So what I would be tempted to do, if you add white to a paint, it tends to make it a bit more of a pastel color. Whereas if you find something on the color spectrum that will shift it, so in the case of green, if you add a little bit of yellow, it will just shift that color away. This is what's called a drab color because it has a gray or black added to it, which drabs it down. By adding a bit of yellow, it just takes it away, and then that's a good color to dry brush with, just to pick up the highlights. I can definitely recommend Morrison's fudge brownie milkshake. Very nice. It's about £1.50 for all of this.
Is it nice, is it?
Yeah. It'd be better chilled because it'll thicken up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's only made with 1% fat milk.
Really?
I don't suppose for 1 minute that makes it healthy. It's only got 1% fat milk, but it's probably got about 90% sugar in it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Holy crap. Whoa. So per 100 milliliters, it's got 1.1 gram of fat, of which saturated fat is 0.7. Right. Carbohydrate 9.1, of which sugars is 7.7. 100.
Wow.
This is 1,000 milliliters. So 1/10 of this. Sorry, this is 5 portions. Right, 200 mil. One portion will give you 17% of your recommended maximum sugar intake. So
Really?
drinking all of this, which I will do today, that gives me 120% of my recommended sugar intake just in one drink.
Wow.
Cheers, Morrison's, or whoever made the milkshake. Right, so I'm going to apply my last bit of green on this. It's just made it a bit patchy on the top now. And I think I'll call that done. How are you getting on?
I've done that second coat.
Yeah, and how's it looking after 2 coats? Do you think it would benefit a 3rd coat?
Probably.
Okay.
To me, it looks like it could.
Right,
In areas.
in that case, it needs doing then.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that tonight, or do you want to carry on and finish it the next session? Are you up for another? Some people find the painting really boring. So to do a lot of painting in one day, although I've got to be honest with you, if you don't like painting, why are you making scale models? But obviously, like some people like the building more than they like the painting.
Yeah, yeah. Get
And
that.
this is why they buy airbrushes, because they hate painting with a brush. But it's up to you if you're happy doing. Oh, I thought you'd gone for a minute.
No, I'm still here. I just have to lean back a bit to see what I'm doing. So I end up out of camera.
I think that's definitely 3 or 4 coats on the top for me. The way that I've put that, the way I've thinned that paint. So that's what I'm ending up with. Trouble is I'm losing the light. So I'm quite happy with that. But we'll see what it looks like when it dries. I'm actually, there is a slight bit of patchiness on it, on mine, but I'm really not bothered about the patchiness because I just think that gives it a slightly more natural look.
Yeah, because it's going to be like it's used anyway, isn't it? It's not going to be.
I don't want my
100%
tank looking all uniform.
clean.
Yeah.
Like it's had wear and tear in the war.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it would be nice if I had the skill to intentionally put that wear and tear in, but if you can get that wear and tear in by accident, hey, let's use it.
True.
One thing I do like about this is the way that we put the gun barrel on, because it comes in 2 halves.
Yeah.
It creates that little hole at the end. Some models, they don't put the hole in the end.
Right.
And then that's why we have drills, so we can drill out the hole. If you have like a model of aircraft models, like say, for example, a B-17 with their machine guns on the side and the front,
Yeah.
they do the gun barrels in one piece. and they don't have a hole on the end. It just looks like a blob. And a little skill is to get a little pin vise with a really small drill and just drill out the end of the hole so that it ends up looking like that. There's a little hole in it, and it just looks, well, there's a rocket, there's a shell coming out of there. The fact there's a hole, you know, this you know, it's a hole for something to come out of.
True.
So I'm just doing a bit of quality control on this now. I wonder if that might just need one more coat on the back. And just try and, if you can remember, if you went that way on one coat, try and go that way on the next. It just helps. Doesn't matter if you didn't do that, but it just helps.
Been trying. I'm learning it.
So, do you feel you are getting a better paint coverage than your Jet Provost?
Yeah, a bit better.
Good.
But the skill of painting, it just takes a while to learn it.
Oh, but to be honest with you, I don't think there's I mean, there is obviously skills involved, but it's knowing the tricks and the rules. So knowing to thin your paint has really improved your paint finish, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I might have forgotten to tell you things. I'm trying to remember to tell you everything, but this is why we have an audience and why we encourage audience participation.
As long as they don't get me lost.
No, they won't get you lost. I think I've done a good job of that myself, haven't I?
No comment.
Well, I think I've told you a few things that maybe you don't necessarily need to know today.
Well, it's going to come up at some point, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Let's learn it when we're ready to learn it. But right, I think I'm fairly happy with mine. I have no brush marks. It's fairly even coverage. It's a fairly solid coverage. It is slightly darker and lighter in places, but not by an awful lot. And
mine will be the same.
I think it actually looks okay with this slightly uneven coverage.
Well, it's been in the war. Sod it.
Yeah.
Not going to be perfect once it's in there, is it?
I think it's a World War II tank, isn't it? Sherman Firefly?
No idea. I can't remember.
To be honest with you, I'd never heard. I mean, I'm not a tank expert, but I'd never heard of the Sherman Firefly before I saw the kit. Teresa says should be no help whatsoever. LOL. Oh,
wait.
You're fine. If everybody had just one piece of information between us, we could probably learn everything. Obviously, if everybody had the same piece of information. Right, I've got to look up this tank because I don't even know what era it's from. Here we are. It is a World War II tank. As Allied forces begin to move off the D-Day beaches and into the Normandy countryside, they knew they would be facing strong opposition from German panzer units, including the feared heavy tank battalions. Fortunately, they now had a tank which was capable of taking on the Tigers and Panthers in the form of the Sherman Firefly, a British-designed marriage of the M4 Sherman and their famous 17-pounder anti-tank gun, usually deployed in a ratio of 1 Firefly to 4 standard Shermans. German tank commanders soon learned to look for the longer barrel of the Firefly and attempt to knock these tanks out first. In order to make identification more difficult, British crews would camouflage the front of their guns with light-coloured paint, giving their tank the appearance of a standard 75mm equipped Sherman, hoping this deception would give them enough time to get in the first shot during any engagement.
Ooh.
Ah, so is that something that we could recreate on our model then?
No idea.
So obviously by using colour in a certain way,
Yeah.
you can make things look a bit different. And now that I've read that, I'm thinking actually that does look proportionally quite long. Because a turret that size, I'd probably expect the turret to be made that long. So now it's mentioned. So these are obviously Sherman tanks with, or essentially Sherman tanks with longer barrels, and the longer barrel will give you a more accurate shot over range.
Yeah.
So so maybe that is something that we could think about doing, painting the barrel a certain color to make it look shorter, which is
I
what
got
basic
you.
camouflage is all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how are you getting on?
Done my second coat on a lot of it.
Like,
Just doing
do
it
you
on the
think
top
that
now.
maybe you'd need perhaps another 5-10 minutes?
Probably just to finish this part, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to nip off a bit then, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
And then you hold the fort.
I'll hold the fort and
To
annoy
be
him.
honest with you, given what kind of brush you're using, you know, you're using,
The tiniest.
yeah, this is the brush size comparison. So obviously I did cheat a little bit by using a big brush. They call this a size 0, but if that's a size 2, there's no way that's a size 0. But yeah, 2 is the standard brush that you get with Airfix kits, and then you know you might think about getting a bigger brush, and then maybe some smaller brushes. Depends on, see, when you do the tiny detail, you might find that that brush is a little bit too big.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll be back shortly.
No worries. There we go. Can't see. Concentrating. Concentrating here. I just did it that way. I did it long way. It's looking greener. Don't know if you're supposed to paint in that bit, but I already have. Yeah. Done it. Done it. Want that bit green. There we go. 2 coats. Done. Done. So that's done. So it's 2 coats. It will need a third probably. This had its 2 coats. There we go. All the way around by the back. That one's had its 2 coats. That way actually. So that's had its 2 coats, which is already dried. this is just drying, and that's had its 2 coats so far. So yeah, for someone that can't paint properly, I'm quite happy with that. I ain't done the bottom yet, because the top of that's still drying. So sorry, I have to have things in order because it gets confusing. 2 coats, we'll need a third. We'll need a third coat. There we go. You're not a painter if you don't get paint on you. That's what I always say. If you don't get paint on you, you're not a painter. It's a bit weird, that water, isn't it? Don't drink it. Ready? You're back now. Well, I've christened this well and truly now. It's totally christened.
It's like
I've
mad.
christened this blue thing.
Say again?
I've christened this blue thing with green.
Christened the blue thing with green.
Yeah, that matty thing.
Oh, yeah, you will. That's why I said to get it cut, Matt.
Yeah, that's the one.
Otherwise, it just don't cut.
It's getting decorated with green.
It will do.
So I christened it.
Teresa says it's looking good, Tash. It is. It really is. And she says it looks like water out of a quick. Yeah, that does look really good, actually. I
ain't done the bottom yet, look, because you could tell I've been holding that.
Yeah, I said that was the first bit you want to try out, see what your paints are like. But it's fine. As long as you're... Yeah, that looks good. So obviously the bit, any overpaint you've got onto the tracks, because that's a higher bit, that'll be easy to go over with the black. Yeah, that's good.
So that's 2 coats so far.
So I would suggest calling it a day now, but on the next stream we'll do the black, which on the tracks,
yeah.
Or you can just do them now. But you know, and then you could fit this together, but with the paint being still wet, you know, not fully cured, it'll just strip off.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
When you're ready, I'll do it on mine because I don't mind damaging mine. No, I can always repair it off camera, can't I? So with the track on, I mean, it doesn't look great now because the tracks aren't done the correct color, but that's what it looks like with the track on.
Yeah.
And you've got these notches in the top, and then you've got these little tabs on the turret. So you line those up, and the turret just goes in like that. And it's a little bit stiff, but then that's
I see now. Yeah.
Because you said before the stream, I'm sorry, I'm not out to embarrass you, because you said your turret goes up and down, but it doesn't go side to side. I said it's not meant to go side to side. The way it goes side to side is it moves the turret.
Yeah, I didn't think of that part.
Oh yeah, but that's roughly what it's going to look like when you put the pieces together.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't see, what you'll find is where this turret is in a little bit stiff, it's going to scrape the paint off around there, which is fine. That bit's hidden. But yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah.
So I find it's an interesting dynamic that the last two streams we were gluing bits of plastic, and as we glued them together, it became more and more tank looky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This one we've primarily done painting, but by adding the paint, it's then started to bring it to life. It was a piece of plastic before, but now it's actually starting to look like a miniature tank. So
I'm getting there.
you are getting there. So what I would suggest you do is place these pieces out in the open to sit.
That's all right. I've got a special spot for them.
Have you?
Yeah, it goes
And then
near
this
behind me.
time next week, that paint, or sorry, next time Thursday, I think is our next stream, isn't it?
17th, isn't it?
Have a look. Yeah,
Whenever that is.
Wednesday.
Oh, next week.
Yeah, 17th. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more days. I mean that paint will be cured, as we say. Remember that when I said about the glue?
Yeah.
The difference between it being dry and being cured. The turret that we've put together, that we did at the beginning of the stream, the paint is dry, but it's not cured. So because it's dry enough, we can paint over it. But
Yeah.
I could actually pull this piece, I'm not going to, but I could pull this apart now because that glue wouldn't have been fully cured.
Yeah.
So you really need to be sort of leaving it at least overnight. But I'm going to lay my pieces out like that. And then once we get those tracks painted, I think that will really come to life. And then hopefully I'll be able to teach you how to do a very, very simple wash. If you want to do really good washes, you're probably going to, best thing to do is invest in oil paints, and you will get a much better result. But we'll produce a very, very simple wash, which I think you'll like. So,
More likely will.
let's rate your work today, shall we? 11 out of 10.
I'll turn it around.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to emphasize that you've done all right.
No, I'll just throw you in it.
Oh, I think we'll have to have this seat up. Yeah, no, it looks good. I think no one's got anything to complain about on that one.
That's just 2 coats at the moment.
Yeah. But I tell you what, I bet you if you went onto took a photo of that, posted it in a Facebook group saying, "Hi, new to the group, been building for 20 years. This is my latest creation." I bet you people go, "Oh, yeah, it's looking really good. That look really nice when it's
20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, but do you understand it's all about following simple steps?
Yeah.
We've been breaking it down into small steps and just doing basic little things each stage. And so I've asked you this question before. Do you think you were right to be as anxious as you were?
Probably not as much, but I suppose it's natural instincts, isn't it?
If you don't know what you're getting into, because this was all right, it was probably good that you did the Jet Provost because now you know. I've got paint all over my fingers, but I've been doing that with the paintbrush.
Well, like I said on before, when you'd gone and had 5 minutes, if you ain't got paint on you, you're no painter.
This is it. And it's a good thing. It's part of the reason why I like using acrylics. You will have people out there that they make some very bold statements, which I don't agree with, which is, "Oh, you'll never get good results with acrylics." Bollocks, you will. I'm trying to find why do we need black?
There
must be some details on the top.
Oh, God, I've painted mine green.
Oh, no, not that.
The wheels.
No, the wheels are meant to be done green. The tank is meant to be done green. the little details we're doing number 53, which is the gunmetal, and the tracks are gunmetal. I can't see anywhere where we actually need black. Ah, I see. Yes, the actual wheels. So you're going to love this.
I'm not.
So see where the wheels are, not the tracks, the wheels.
The wheels.
I'm going to be painting the outside of those in black.
Oh yeah, I could. I'll make a mess.
No, you'll do your best, and
I'll do my best.
it'll either work or it won't.
I thought the track has to be as well. Or is that
No,
silvery?
the track has to be silver because it's made of metal.
So it had to have to be silver then, wouldn't it?
But have so much fun with that.
53, whatever 53 is.
53 is the metal colour. It's called gunmetal. It's kind of a dark silver.
All right, so that'll be for the tracks then, by the looks of this.
Yeah. And the little details. If you look at the, probably best if you look at the back of the box, it points out all the little things that you have to paint with a silver. It's mainly tools and things, axes, and you've got, this is quite interesting down this side. You've got what looks like some metal pipes.
Yeah.
They've got to be painted.
Yeah.
We'll give it a go.
I'll give it a go.
I think that little machine gun barrel, if it still survives on yours, needs to be done in silver. It doesn't point.
Which one?
This little one on the front.
I lost that last time.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a very extreme way of avoiding painting, isn't it?
Yeah, I've lost 2 parts in this, haven't I? One of them and then that front
I think
bit.
you lost half the model, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's still fitting together, even if it's half a model there.
You just lost little tiny details, and I think most of those people won't notice if you don't point it out. Right. So, are you happy with what you've done?
Yeah.
Are you definitely looking more tanky now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking better.
If you place that on there rather than actually put it in, and then you hold that up to there. But also, can you see the instructions have told us to glue these on already?
Yeah, but we ain't glued them on yet.
You see why I didn't glue them on?
Yeah.
They're so much easier to deal with. So what I've tried to sort of teach you in the last one is have a little think about pieces and if they're going to get in the way.
Yeah.
Also, guys, we found out the reason we couldn't fit these on last stream, we had them on the wrong way.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So it's like, because I was going, oh, it's not fitting on, it's trying to fit on that way. No, I had it on the wrong way. Because when I put this together, it just fitted together perfectly. And I'm like, well, why does this one fit perfectly and the others don't?
Exactly, that's what I was getting, weren't I?
Yeah. Right, so next on Wednesday, we will be mostly dealing with paint number 53, which it's one of those things where you won't be applying as much paint, but it'll probably take you as long as the green has. Each level of paint, that looks really nice. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I'm going to let it dry now.
Yeah, right, so leave it alone. Yeah, no, I think you've done well.
Thank you. It's getting in my special place now.
Your special place. What's that in the corner? Special place in the corner. Do you like my t-shirt, guys?
Can't even read what it says.
I got this
Jack
from
the Ripper Museum.
I got this from the Jack the Ripper Museum.
That's the one.
Funny enough, yeah. Lovely little place.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's a little house, but it's got 3 floors. And on one of the floors, they've recreated the discovery of one of the murders. And you've got this policeman leaning over the dead body.
Yeah.
And then they play all these eerie noises, and you really feel like you're in Victorian London. And we also went for a drink in the Blind Beggar, which is where one of the Crays shot the. Is it one of the Cornells? And I've seen the bullet hole in the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of feel sorry for the landlord because he gets so many people coming into the pub not to buy a drink, just to ask him. And they got this, like, it's like they've said it so many times. And they go like, right, so the bar's been redeveloped since the incident, but he was actually here. You know, the bar's moved across a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm thinking, you must get so bored with that.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be. And then, and it's like we didn't even stop and buy a drink. So that's why we bought a T-shirt. Because you can't just walk into a pub and go, give me information like, bye.
Yeah, bye.
I think that's a bit rude.
I do.
So, you know, if you're going to be a tourist, at least spend some money. So, yeah, my little milk pots come in so handy. I don't use them because I use the milk downstairs, but I do grab a few.
I've got minging water now.
Yeah, you will do. Does your water look
and
like?
then I've still got another one clean.
So when we deal with the 53, which is a metallic, we'll need a separate pot of water.
That's
You don't want to clean your brushes. If you paint with the green or the black, and you clean your water in the one that you've used to clean your metallic paints, you'll end up with little metallic flakes on the brush, and you'll end up with a metallic finish on your blacks and your greens. Right. Not a lot, but just enough for some kind of person to go, well, that ain't right. You've got metallic on there.
Yep.
Because you always get someone. I think there's people on Facebook that when you post a picture, they enlarge it really big and they're like, oh, what can I find wrong with that?
What can I find wrong with it?
Yeah. So, yeah, good session. Good session. I've learned quite a bit as well. Like, I need to switch my cameras around.
Sod it.
Right. So, anything else to add?
No.
Okay. So, I'm going to give the spiel about my my channel, which is awkward because I'm only on one screen at the moment. So, what have I got coming? So, I have got a new series starting tomorrow. I think I've mentioned it on my channel updates. So I'm doing, it won't be every week. And if it's channel update week, there won't be a video. But I'm doing what I'm calling mojo builds, which quick little, like this, for example. In fact, would you mind if I did this as a mojo? I don't know if I've got any left.
Well, you had 3, didn't you?
I don't know. I might have about 5 or 6. But it'll just be quick little kits like this that you could perhaps put together in a day or maybe 2 days. And
could use it, couldn't you?
Yeah, not this one. So it's just kits that I can just throw together quite quickly. Something I could probably produce the whole video in a day. It's a sort of kit that if you're doing a big project and you're like, oh, this is really wearing me down. Maybe you're getting a little bit fed up with scale modeling. It's just the kind of kit that you can pick up and then go, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And you really get the mojo juices flowing again. I kind of got the idea from doing that lightning. You know, and we did that lightning in 2 hours.
Yes.
See, I didn't finish it. I feel like maybe if I had another hour or 2, but again, if I was spending all day on it, I could have done a really good job.
Yeah.
You know, maybe get 4 or 5 hours worth of building, but spread throughout the day, doing an hour or 2, and then maybe having a spot of lunch, and then maybe doing another hour and spend a bit of time with the cats, maybe another hour, nip down the shop or something, and then cook dinner, do another couple of hours on it. And it's just little builds just to sort of help you get a little bit of bit going again.
Yeah, because the big ones just take it out of you, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, like I got an aircraft carrier and that would probably take me 6 months to build. you know, of actually, I'm talking about off stream, just working on it a few hours a day. So that's starting. It's a bit of a recycled video. It's something I was going to produce over the Christmas period. I've just edited the video a little bit, but it still has the Christmas music background. It's not anything like, it's not educational or anything. It's just watch me build and get on with it. Monday. So I'm actually switching my, I was doing the RoboCop on the Friday. I'm having a little bit, I don't know if it's because it's Christmas, but I'm having a little bit of trouble with the issues.
Right.
I seem to be getting 4 issues per pack, and I'm getting a pack every 5 or 6 weeks. But it's been a lot longer, probably because of Christmas. ET is starting up soon as well, but that's only a two issue pack for pack number 1. So what I've decided to do is move the RoboCop onto Monday, and I'm going to do the RoboCop fortnightly and the ET fortnightly. If it turns out I get a bit of a backlog of issues, I can always do more than 1 issue in a video. So that will be starting. It won't start again till February, when I'll be picking up RoboCop issue 11, and then February the 12th will be ET issue 1. By the time I've got the second issue of ET out, then the next pack should have arrived, and that should just slow them down a little bit so I can get them in. Tuesday, I put the Warhammer on hold. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I have 2 issues. The next 4 issues, they're at home, and I think I've got 4 issues at home, and then the next lot are here. Warhammer is something I film in the hotel, but where I've been doing all my DIY work, and I've been putting a lot of stuff in boxes, it's in a big pile of boxes. So I've just thought, right, I'm just going to delay that until I go back home, and then I'll do some more sorting out. Eddie Stobart is starting, or has started. Did it start last week?
I'm sure you put a video up last week.
It's already started. 3rd of January it started.
I think so.
Yeah. Friday, this is another reason why I've wanted to move the RoboCop. On the 2nd of February, I am beginning the Lancaster build, Hachette versus Hong Kong. It's starting with, I've already filmed it and uploaded it. 2nd of February is what I'm calling issue -1. It's an introduction to the project, explaining things that I'm doing. Then the following week will be issue 0, which will be the unboxing of the actual model. And then on the 16th of February, we will have issue 1, where I will try to copy Hachette's issue 1 with the Hong Kong models, and then it'll go weekly from there. And I thought Friday would be a really good day to start that, because Monday to Friday I tend to do Partworks, and then I tend to do scale models over the weekend. And because the Lancaster is half Partwork, half scale model, I thought it'd be a good way to blend from Partwork. One plan I've got for the future, I think the Gauntlet is due to finish round about the end of the year. My calendar only goes up to August, but I can see that Eddie Stobart is going to finish in July for me, possibly a little bit earlier. But the last published issue is going to be the end of May. I'm trying to cut back on the Partworks, or try and do stuff that I can do as Partworks. There is going to be no Partwork on a Wednesday once the Eddie Stobart finishes. I'm going to do what I call Wooden Wednesday, where I'm going to find wooden kits.
Like the owl.
like the owl. But what I'm actually planning on doing for my first kit is, let me just find the Airfix kit. Bear with me a second.
No worries.
I know I have it. I know roughly where it is. And it's here. So, this is a model that I've been after for a while, and I can't believe I found it in a charity shop for £5. But this is the B-type bus.
Yeah.
But I've left the price on it because I can't believe it.
Wow.
£5. The only problem with this is it's got no instructions.
Right.
I've already downloaded the instructions from the internet. But that's not wooden. Right. So the first model that I'm going to be doing for Wooden Wednesday is the Ochre version of that, and it's mainly a wooden model.
Okay.
I can then, because the instructions for the Airfix one aren't really that good. The paint instructions aren't fantastic.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, once I've built the wooden one, I can then use that to follow that to make the Airfix one.
That's
and then,
good.
but I'm just going to find wooden models to make. Nothing too strenuous. I've got some wooden models that I've always wanted to get. There's a London tram that I want to do. And then there's also the stagecoach that I want to do. The old American horse-drawn like stagecoaches.
Yeah.
And then from there, I don't know where I'm going to go. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Maybe some simple ships, because I did start that Hermione and I really did enjoy that. It was using skills that I'd never used before, learning new skills, and I really did enjoy it. But that was down in the lockup, so that's long gone. But I think I'll just find some nice beginner ships to start with. Scratch build wood kits like I do. This is a bit of a chat that we've sort of been doing over the last few weeks. I will agree with you that obviously I can scratch build, but I'm not confident enough to do it. So, I can modify. It's like some of the kits that I'm doing. I was watching something on strengthening wings, because obviously if you do like a 1:48 scale bomber, they're bigger, so the wings are longer, they're going to stick out more, so there's more weight on them, so they're going to droop. So do a little modification, put some strips of plastic inside the wing, which just adds a bit of strength to it so it doesn't bend. That's more of a mod than a scratch build, isn't it?
But then again, we always say that, but we do everything from scratch anyway.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I can't scratch build. I'm just saying I haven't got the confidence to give it a go yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got 3 wooden projects that I've got planned. Between the 3 of them, they're probably going to take over a year to do. I'm not planning on doing them really, really quickly. I just want to do a few stages at a time.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking about doing ships in a year and a half's time. So, another plan I've got is to make not flying but radio controlled aircraft, because they're big. But not make them as radio controlled aircraft, just make the aircraft. Because I've seen one, it's an absolutely huge Lancaster, and if I don't do it right, I won't actually get it out of the house because it's that big. So yeah, there's lots of stuff I can do, but yeah, I just think Wooden Wednesday, it's got a nice ring to it, and it's something a little bit different, isn't it? Different material.
Yeah.
And then maybe over time I will sort of reduce myself down to maybe 3 or 4 videos a week for builds. you know, a nice complex scale model, a wooden build, a nice easy plastic kit, and then maybe something else on the go. But you don't know what's happening in the Partwork world.
No.
But I wanted to do this Lancaster project. I wanted to do something like that when the Bismarck came out, and because I looked at the price of the Partwork and I knew I could buy the Bismarck for a lot cheaper in the same scale. I'd looked into it when I did the Spitfire. Dave Mack has pretty much done it with the Titanic because he's done the scale model and he's done the Partwork. So he's in a good position. But the Titanic was one that I was looking at. And then when the Lancaster come out, I thought, yeah, I could do it with the Lancaster. But to be honest with you, what would I do with two 1:32 scale Lancasters? So I'm not going to do the Partwork, but I've got a bit of help, hopefully, from building with the boys. So I'm actually going to sort of analyze his build video. And just excuse me a sec, I've just got a lot of notifications coming for some reason.
I'll be right back.
Okay, no, it's all right. Actually, none of them were important. So I apologize. Hackers target UK in huge cyber attack in response to airstrikes in Yemen. That's the Sun for you, isn't it? I think the Sun just wants everyone to be scared. I know in certain areas that people are going, the Sun, what's that? I've heard of that paper, but I don't know what it is. Maybe the Sun are just working their way around the country and getting everyone to stop buying their paper. Because I know there's a couple of areas that people won't touch it. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's my plan, is to scale down a little bit what I'm doing, but do it a little bit better and a little bit more varied. Partworks are not off the question, not out of the question in the future. But obviously I know how to do scale models. Why should I spend £1,500 on a Partwork when I'm fully capable of doing a scale model? So things like the ET and the Robocop, there's definitely a place for them, for me, excuse me, it's definitely a place for me in the Partwork world, because I don't know how I would make a model of things like the Robocop without scale model. But Lancasters and Bismarcks and Titanics, I feel, why am I doing a Partwork when I could easily do the scale model version? And now I've got a problem because I'm running out of things to say, and I haven't got Natasha just to push me along as she normally does. But do you like my sofa, guys? This is all right for a hotel, isn't it? The room's a little bit smaller. The bed's a little bit smaller. It's about 3/4 of the way between a single and a double. And I quite like it. I don't need a massive bed. But I've just got, the table's a little bit smaller. So I've just got to figure out how to set things up. But the hotel, because I said to them, I said, I got a bit of a problem with the table. I said, I'll make do. I said, but I might just bring like a bit of wood with me next time and just clamp that to the table to make it bigger. And they said, oh, we've got rooms with a bigger table. I said, oh, lovely. So they'll make sure I've got a room with a bigger table next time. So all I got to do is just email them a couple of days before I'm due to come down and say, look, I've got this booking. Could you possibly make sure I have a room with a bigger table? And the rest of the facilities I don't really care about, because all of the rooms has got a bed and a bathroom and a toilet and a shower. So it's just a table I'm after. So I was just describing my room.
Was you?
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. And it hasn't got tables, but it's got little nooks and crannies. I'll show you. My room is extremely messy. But so you've got a mirror over there, which I don't particularly love the mirror, but tucked round the back, I thought this was quite clever. You've got the mirrors just set off the wall a little bit, which gives us a little shelf behind. There's an ironing board, an iron, and a hairdryer tucked behind there. You've then got the wardrobe there, which is big enough that I can put my bag and my shoes on the floor. My main hanging clothes are there, and I can pop things on the top shelf. Then you've got a little table there, which I tend to use. At the moment, I've got my models there to get them out of the way. You've got these 3 things. I don't know if they're meant to be coat hooks, but ignore that bag. That's just where I put my dirties. And then you've got where the TV is. You see, you've got another shelf there, right? And I've got my little plug-in air freshener about there. And then this is my sofa area, which you see I got all my model stuff there. There's my tiny table. At the moment, I've got the PC on top of me suitcase. You've got a little side thing there, another one on the other side of the bed, and that's the bed. And then in the corner there, I can actually tuck all my suitcases behind the sofa, behind the curtains. I don't open my curtains. I'm just like, yeah, bugger off. But the bed it's not quite a double bed. You can sleep 2 people in there, but it's not quite a double bed. I think that's what I'd call a comfy single bed.
Yeah.
But get this, right? Double plug socket with USBs, right? Another one over there on the other side of the bed. You've got one up there. You see where my plug-in is, right? And you've got one there.
Wow. You've got plenty of them.
I've got 8 plug sockets and 8 USB sockets. In the hotel.
Short then.
Yeah, in the one at Travelodge, I had 1 double socket with no USBs, which is why I bought this. But now these are obsolete. So these are going in my suitcase and going back home with me next time. So I'll use this at home. But look, this is a 2, 4, 6, 8 plug socket with 4 USBs.
Nice.
It is nice, and it's quite compact, but that'll probably go in my bedroom.
Yeah.
So, and obviously this can go home as well. So I've now saved that much bulk in my suitcase just because they got plug sockets.
And plenty of them.
And I don't think it's a big thing, is it? No. I mean, you go to the Travelodge, you've got 2 sockets. You've got the kettle goes in one, right? That leaves you 1 plug socket. Now, with it being wintertime and they're heating broken, they've given me a plug-in heater. That's both those plugs gone. Now, if you had 2 people staying in the room, they both want to charge their phones up. One of them might want to use a laptop. Yeah, and then one of them might want to use a hairdresser. The kettle that I've got here, let me show you. So I don't know if you can't really see it, but there's a little, see where the TV is?
Yeah.
There's a little gap. That bit of wood is set off the wall a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And the wire for the kettle, it's hardwired into the wall. There's no 3-pin plug socket. Obviously they put a kettle in. People want to use the kettle. That kettle is hardwired in there, so you can't use that power source for anything else. Right. But at the same time, the kettle isn't using a power source that you want for something else.
True. So
it's got its own little area for making tea and coffee. It's not very big, but it's perfectly big enough for making tea and coffee. Kettle's not especially big. If you fill the kettle up to a maximum, you probably get 2 cups out of it. But to be absolutely honest with you, from a hotel room point of view, do you need anything bigger?
No.
So TV works, but I'm not much of a TV person. I did watch, because obviously I had very little to do when I came the first night. So I did watch the Arsenal-Liverpool game, which I thought was quite good. And then I dozed off a bit, and then I woke up. And then Call the Midwife came on. Yeah. So I panicked and switched it off because I didn't think I was caught up with it. So I've caught up with the Christmas one today because I fell asleep watching it, didn't I, when it was on at Christmas? So I've had to watch, and it turns out that Sunday's Call the Midwife was only the first in the series, so I could have watched it. So
my mum's gotten into that. She started watching it from the beginning.
yeah, I think it's great.
I haven't even seen it. I've not watched it.
It's well worth watching. It's a little bit more than just their midwives. You know, obviously there's kiddies born every week in it.
Yeah.
It's about 2 or 3 born every episode, but usually they have a story, and sometimes the story isn't actually anything to do with pregnant women. Like Christmas one, you had this guy. He was ex-Indian Air Force, fought for the RAF during the war, and then there he is in one of those slum houses that they're trying to knock down, and he's got nowhere to go, and he won't accept any help, and he's got diabetes, and he's got ulcerated legs.
Okay. Oh.
And it's like eventually he comes round, but you understand why he doesn't want help, and like they try to light a fire, and he's going mental, and he's like, "Oh, put that fire out, put that fire out." Turns out that one of the aircraft that he was in, it caught fire, and then on landing, the pilot died. So obviously he's got a bit of a fear of fire, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And it's just little interesting storylines that they have. But I like it. I've been watching it since season 1. It kind of started off as following the diaries of one particular newly qualified nurse who has since left the series, but it's carried on without her. And but I'm hardened to it now. I don't cry when the babies are born anymore. I did cry when a certain cast member died.
Yeah.
You know, she finally found love, and she married this vicar, and then she got this flu stuff, and then she died, and I cried for hours. But I'm hardened to it now. I almost cried at this Christmas episode 1, but I didn't. I'm okay. So, but I did. But then
any programs like that or any movies that's really sad, I don't cry. I'm like, why don't I cry? No, I don't cry to none.
I rewatched The Lion King over Christmas, and I blubbed my eyes out.
I love Lion King.
Do you cry at Lion King?
No.
You heartless cow.
I just don't know why I don't cry. I'm just.
Oh,
I don't know.
Quick poll, guys. Does anyone else not cry at The Lion King? How can you not cry at The Lion King?
I don't know. But I don't cry.
Be ashamed of yourself.
Any movie, I don't cry. Program that's really upsetting.
It's the music that gets me.
Hey?
When there's a sad music playing, that's the one that always gets me.
Yeah. But I don't cry still, even with that. And I'm like, why don't I cry?
No, maybe it's just not you. I suppose it depends on your life as well. If you've had a particularly tough life, you might be watching a really, really sad film, and you might be sitting there going, well, compared to my life, you've got it easy. Why aren't they making a film about my life? Your life's been easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's all by comparison, I suppose. But
true.
But yeah. Now watching The Lion King, having a cry, cuddling the cats. Come here, I need you. Oh. Cats are for. So, I've got to take them both for their 6 monthly checkups.
Oh, really?
So, it's quite handy because I just want it. Well, right. So just before I came back to London, I weighed them both.
Right.
Now, the way I weighed them is I got some bathroom scales. I weighed myself. Then I picked up the cats and weighed them with me and subtracted my weight, which may not be the most accurate way to do it.
No.
Now, Spirit has put on 0.8 kilos in about a month and a half, which I think is great. She's not looking fat.
No.
She's growing. Now, Shadow, we have really cut back on his treats. He is pretty much 95% of his diet is coming from this indoor fat cat food, and he's put on 2.2 kilos.
Wow.
We're exercising him more. I mean, he's a male cat anyway. Male cats tend to be a bit more lazy. We're trying to get him to play more, but he doesn't really play that much. And he's not eating as much, and he's eating food that has less calories, and he's still putting on 0.2 kilos.
Wow.
I'm hoping my bathroom scales are inaccurate.
So find out, won't you?
Yeah, I mean, I might. Yeah, so I just looked for an excuse to weigh them. So I said, "Can I have their nails trimmed?" And she went, "Yeah." And then a couple of days later, they've sent me a text saying, "Oh, both cats are due for their 6 monthly health checkup.
Yeah.
I pay 18 quid a month for each of them, and they get free flea, free worm." Oh, so I forgot to do the flea treatment. So I did it a few days late, and Linda, my cat sitter, came round to help. And I said, "Oh, do us a favour." I said, "If I pick the cats up, can you get them?" It's one of these little vials that you squeeze on the back of the necks.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not just the flea, it's the wormer as well. So they had 2 vials. Now, Spirit was all right. She didn't particularly like being held. She didn't like having this stuff squeezed on the back of her neck, but she pretty much put up with it. Shadow, he wasn't having it. And I just saying to Linda about an hour earlier, I said, both Shadow and Spirit have been ever so good. They don't play to the point I end up with scratches all over me.
No.
But this, and I gave him this flea treatment. He's caught me there, down there, one there, one there, one. There's about 6 scratches on one hand where he just went, "Yeah, I'm not having this, get off." But we managed to get both treatments in, and he was in a right old mood with me for the rest of the night. Every time I came in the room, he turned his back to me, and it's really funny because when he's in a grump, he turns his back to me. So.
That reminds me of my birds, because I have mite stuff with birds.
Yeah.
To get mites. Oh my God, Mickey she's just not. No, I'm not having that. You can bugger off.
Yeah.
All the others will let me spray them.
Yeah.
Mickey, nope. She's just like, nope, not having it.
Come the end of the night, I was able to make contact with him, but anytime I went near the back of the neck, he's like, "Nope, get away."
Yeah, they do that.
So Loveman, he says, "Oh, got to do the flea treatment." Yeah, I try and keep on top of everything. The argument I have is that, well, obviously I've got a boy and a girl cat now, so they do need to be. But because they're indoor cats, theoretically, I probably don't need them chipped. I probably don't need them flea and wormed. But if they ever got out of the house just once, I'll be glad they were, especially chipped. Because obviously, if they get away and someone finds them, the first thing the vet will do is scan them, and there's a little chip. Maybe that's why he doesn't like the back of his neck being touched. So I felt awful when I had him chipped, because the vet said, "I can chip him now." He goes, "You can either have this chip, which costs 20 quid, or there's another one that's supported by a charity, and it's free of charge." He said, it's not quite so good. It's a little bit bigger. And I said, "Well, how big is a little bit bigger?" He says, "Oh, a millimetre or so." I said, "All right, I'll go for that one." Well, obviously the vet knows what's going to happen. Bear in mind, Shadow's about 10 weeks old at the time. He picks Shadow up. He takes him to a different room, and I can hear Shadow screaming through the door.
Wow.
And then he brings him back. I love the way he did it. I mean, I argue that you should be with your cat because it makes them anxious if you're not.
Yeah.
But what he's obviously done, he's done something he knows is going to cause a little bit of pain. So he's taken him away from me.
Yeah.
He's become the bad guy,
Yeah.
brought him back in the room, and the first thing does, Shadow comes to me, which I thought was a nice little touch.
I think that's probably best to do, especially it got you to console afterwards. You'd have been seen the bad person if he weren't taken away.
Let's be the bad guy, because in 5 minutes' time, I'm going home and he's not going to see the vet.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, the next time I went to a vet, I went to a different vet, and he loves the vets now. He does like a trip to the vet, yeah, because they all spoil him down there, and he gets treated so well. Well, he's such a I know I'm biased because he's my cat, but he's such a handsome boy, and everyone loves him. And Spirit, they don't seem to love her quite so much, but I got Spirit because she's a black cat, and do you know what? I think there's something special about black cats.
Yeah, why not? My sister's got 2 black cats.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was reading something on Facebook. Apparently, black cats are referred to as voids.
Yeah.
Because when they shut their eyes, you can't see them. It's just like a black outline. And I get that so much. It's the one drawback with black cats is that I have stood on Spirit so many times because I just can't see her.
Yeah.
She actually sits across the doorway in the living room on the black carpet, well, dark coloured carpet. And I'll walk in with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and I stand and I'm like, "Whoa!" And I just didn't see her. And I've got so many coffee stains on my carpet now from where I've been standing on the cat. And then I'm like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't sit there, should you?" And then she
does that as well.
Again.
They don't learn though, do they? They just carry on going to that same spot.
No, because see, I read somewhere cats have no concept, dogs and cats have no concept of accidents. So if you stand on your cat, they think you've done it on purpose.
Yeah.
But then they come back for more.
Yeah, exactly. This is like what?
Yeah. So yeah, it's absolutely pointless if you go up to your dog and go, "Oh, I'm sorry," but obviously they love you to, or maybe they do it. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
They go, right, well, I'll get in a way and then I'll get a bit of a fuss. Yes, I've got to get stood on, but I'll get fuss.
Yeah.
So,
but I'll get a fuss out of it.
Yeah, but she do like to sit in corners and crevices and places where I can't see her. And yeah, I totally relate to black cats being referred to as voids. Because when she, I mean, he's not so bad because he's got little bits of white on him, but she is just completely black.
Yeah.
And did you know? I'm trying to source this because I saw it on Facebook. Apparently, a black cat is actually go with me on this one. It's kind of a tabby cat, right? It's like black tabby, but the black is dominant and the tabbiness is a non-dominant gene. And if the right thing happens, you get like a black and a black tabby, but you sometimes get brown and some other color, and I'm like, when I got Spirit, she was a little bit brown striped, like just a one shade lighter of like you'd painted bleach on her, wiped it off after like 1 minute, so it's just a little bit lighter than black, and I'm like, do you know what? But we had a cat when I was little. She had brown stripes on her, like zigzags. That's why we called her Ziggy. But she grew out of it. It went black, and Spirit is getting darker. So, and I kind of there's some sense in that, but I wanna fact check that because they're not really tabby, are they? And I do believe the different types of cat have different characteristics. Ginger, tabby, black cats, they have a different character than white cats.
Yeah.
Although all cats have different characters. You can get two black cats and you've got two completely different monsters. But although saying that, Shadow and Spirit aren't the same. One's a tuxedo and one's black. I think he's classic tuxedo. What are you laughing
White
at?
socks.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got this lovely, beautiful white chest. He's got this beautiful egg timer on his nose.
Yeah, that's an egg timer, isn't it?
Yeah, and each of his feet are white. The front one stopped there, and I think one of his back legs come up a little bit further. And, yeah, little white feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's lovely. I miss him. I'm going to cry now because I'm not going to see him for 2 more weeks. Although
that'll fly by.
Well, to be honest with this, I've been doing some duties. I mean, I'm at a different depot, but they're mixing all my duties, and some of them are great, some of them not so much. But on the whole, I'm enjoying myself here. It's good to be back, and I'm bumping into old faces that I know from before, and they're like, "Penny, you're back," and I'm like, "Yes," and they're like, "How long are you back for?" And I'm like, "As long as I can get away with." But I won't ever be going to West Ham because apparently they're closing West Ham and they're moving one of the routes to Barking. Whether that means that my job is more secure or not, but then some of the drivers might move from West Ham as well. So I could actually be out of work because we'll have too many drivers.
Wow.
So who knows? But, every time I come down, I kind of prepare myself for them to say, "Sorry, Penny, this is the last time you're coming down." But to be honest with you, they'll probably send me to another depot.
Yeah.
Rainham are short, Plumstead are short, and if I go to Plumstead, they'll put me in a Holiday Inn Express in Woolwich. So now I know. I went to get the rest of my stuff today.
Did you?
I think the hotel manager's very happy with me. She seemed a little bit offish.
Right.
I mean, all right, I left a bad review, but I didn't leave a dishonest review.
True.
So, don't think she had anything to bitch about. But, I mean, I was my normal pleasant self to her. And then
You can do.
Yeah. But I just went in and I took, because I got 2 suitcases and one suitcase fits into the other. So I turned up with 2 suitcases and I had 2 boxes of stuff and my Warhammer case. And the plan was to see if I could get everything into one suitcase and then carry the Warhammer case. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I could probably get this with a bit of careful planning. I could probably get this into one suitcase, but sod it. And I put the Warhammer case into one of the suitcases and I just chucked everything in 2 suitcases and got it done in half the time. Just got out of there.
Yeah.
Right, I'm done now. So that hotel is no more. And quick double check. I don't think I've got anything there. So, yeah. I'm out of that hotel now. Which is a shame because there's a couple of really nice members of staff there.
Yeah, you do get used to a couple of nice ones, don't you? And then all of a sudden,
the staff here seems really nice. I haven't come across. I mean, it's funny. I'm sure he was just joking to me, but I'd mentioned to one of the guys earlier in the week. I said, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. I said, normally every hotel has some really nice staff, and maybe at least one who's not very nice. And he said, "Oh, you'll meet her." And I don't know if he was joking, but I've not met anyone horrible yet.
no.
You've got people that I find it easier to talk to them than others.
Yeah.
But the manager who's on today, 3 hours I spent chatting with her.
Wow.
Yeah, she's quite an interesting character. So and she was telling me all sorts of stuff about herself. And she's Romany Gypsy. You know, the family gypsy, yeah. Well, of origin of that.
Yeah.
And she was saying that obviously where she's adapted to modern life, it totally goes against a lot of what the Roman Egyptians, because obviously they're quite traditional people, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And their traditional views don't always agree with modern life. So obviously she's got a little bit of conflict with her family, but you know they're all good, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's been absolutely mental in this hotel today. They've got, as we're not far from an exhibition centre, and they've got some Comic Con on today. So we've had loads of people dressed up as various comic characters. But I think, I think the funniest one though was there's a family of 4 in the hotel. You got the little boy, he's just running around the dining room going, ah! And then the girl, she's got this VR unit with these 2 hand controllers, and she's just walking about the dining room like this, with this like white glasses on her face. And I don't know if she knows where she's going. I got out of her way. I don't know if she can see where she is. And then every night, most of the bus drivers meet up and they all have dinner together. And I noticed that they picked up 3 girls from somewhere who've joined them. So I'll catch up on that gossip tomorrow. But it's quite nice, you know, if you're sort of finishing around about sort of 9-10 o'clock time, they just all grab the dinner and they just sit in the dining area and they just all chill out together. And it's nice. There's no communal areas. See, I'm not knocking Travelodge. Obviously, they had the facilities that they had, and some travel lodges have more facilities.
Yeah.
But this is so much nicer, and it's like, provided it doesn't cost them a lot of money, they're actually quite prepared to do whatever they can. You know, little things like the milk machine. You know, he goes, I'll let you into a secret. We can't switch that milk machine off. So if you ever want milk, just come down. I mean, I'm taking, what, a quarter of a cup a day? It's not like I'm abusing it, is it?
No.
So, I mean, I did that with a breakfast on the first day, you know, because it's a help yourself all you can eat breakfast. So, of course, first day, I'm like, yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Got halfway through it and I'm like, yeah, I can't eat this much food. So I generally just have a bit of toast or 2 with a bit of marmalade and a couple of sausages. I'm not getting on with their bacon because they cook it for a bit too long. Their hash browns are they're baked, not fried. I don't like baked hash browns. I like mine fried. And then I'm not really into a lot of the other stuff. I might they do a nice little bit of yogurt and fruit, and you can just put a bit of yogurt in a bowl, and they do cereals. I dare say one day I might fancy something completely different and have a bowl of Cocoa Pops for my breakfast.
Exactly, it's all change, isn't it? It's different.
Yeah, but the choice is there.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have. Well, actually, the first day, I started too early to have breakfast, so I just said, I said, I'm not going to be able to make breakfast. Is there an alternative that can be arranged? And they went, yeah, we can do your breakfast box. They said, what time do you want it for? I said, 5 o'clock. Come down the next morning, 5 o'clock. There's a paper bag filled full of croissants and muffins and things. And I thought, you know, it's not my ideal breakfast, but it's a breakfast, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I got into work and I banged about 2 or 3 croissants in the microwave for 30 seconds. And that was quite nice.
Nice.
So, you know, even though I'm not getting breakfast, I'm getting something, aren't I? Oh, and they chucked a banana, an apple, and an orange in there as well, which I thought was nice. I do enjoy a banana about midday. So, but right, okay, guys, it's getting rather late or early to some people. So yeah, Phil says, gotta go start editing video. Right. So, who wants to finish the show today?
You.
I vote you. I vote you.
You're that way to me.
Okay, right. Say goodbye then, and I'll finish the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Penny, for an awesome stream and teaching me more on this model. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I shall see you on the next one.
You will indeed. So yes, fantastic work you've done today, Natasha. We're stepping it up again every stream, and you're responding really well. So yeah, don't let anyone tell you you're no good, especially don't let yourself tell you that you're no good.
Yeah.
You produced a really good, and you've acknowledged many times that this model is coming out better than your first one, which is the result that I'm after. Each model I think should be a little bit better than the last. Right, guys. So thank you for putting up with me for all of this time, and Natasha. Hope you've enjoyed it at least as much as we have.
Yeah.
So our next stream is going to be Thursday. Did we say
17th?
17th. So whatever the 17th is.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
I'm sure it's Wednesday you scheduled it for.
Yeah. We've also got a stream scheduled for the following Friday, the 26th. But that's subject to confirmation. I'm actually going to be working Thursday. So I'm going to be looking at maybe but I've got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I'm going to try and come home a bit early. So if I can come home on the Thursday night, then I can do that stream from home.
Yeah.
It'll be fantastic. So I'm pretty confident that stream will go ahead. I just don't know where it's going to go ahead from. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, I will catch you this coming Wednesday. And yeah, look after yourself and be safe.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye bye.